Hello Warhammer Explorers. Before we dive in, hit subscribe so the next transmission isn't lost to the warp. Every click tells me to keep building this universe with you. What if the Emperor of mankind arrived in The Last of Us? On the Golden Throne, the Emperor feels a scream from old terror, a world choked by a thinking fungus. He sees humans turn to puppets, cities rotting, and one girl who shines in the mold. To judge this rot and save what can be saved, he sends a shard of himself back along the warp-twisted river of time. Tech priests and psychers feed their souls into a hidden gate, and pain tears through his dead, burning body. The gate erupts, space breaks, and his golden form falls out of the Immaterium toward a ruined Earth, long before his Imperium is born. The sky above Boston is the color of ash. Joel stands in a ration line that curls through the broken street, his hands in his pockets, his jaw tight. Grey concrete walls rise high around the quarantine zone, topped with razor wire and Fedra soldiers. The old city is a cage now. People cough in their masks. Posters on the walls show rules, curfews, and the same promise they have heard for 20 years. Obey, and you will survive. He does not look at the posters. He looks at the soldiers' guns, at exits, at where trouble will come from. A woman ahead of him mutters about fireflies. A man behind him grumbles about mold in the food. Somewhere far off, a truck backfires, and several people flinch as if it were a gunshot. Joel feels it before he hears it. The air seems to press down. The light grows wrong, too sharp and bright even through the clouds. Then a deep sound rolls over the city, not like thunder, not like bombs. It is low and endless, like the sky itself is groaning. "What the hell?" someone whispers. Every head tilts up. Above Boston, the clouds tear open. It is not a clean hole. It is a wound in the sky, edges raw and burning gold, colors no one has words for. For a second, the city is lit like noon. Shadowed alleys glow. The fungus on far ruined towers flares white. Joel's hand goes to the pistol at his belt. Useless against the heavens. The Fedra soldiers on the wall shout into radios. A siren begins to wail. People shove and scream. Someone yells that the fireflies have gotten a nuke. Someone else screams that it is Judgment Day. From the burning wound, something falls. Not a bomb, not a plane. A shape wrapped in light, bigger than a tank, sharper than any statue. Around it, flakes of gold drop like sparks, and for a heartbeat, Joel thinks he sees faces in that light. Sad faces, burning faces. The thing hits outside the wall. The ground jumps, windows shatter. Dust rolls through the street like a grey wave. People drop to their knees or to their bellies, hands over heads, trained by too many blasts. Joel just stands there swaying, eyes locked on the plume of smoke and dust that rises beyond the wall like a broken pillar. A second later, the gunfire starts. Not Fedra rifles, not Raider carbines. This is deeper and louder. Each shot sounds like a metal door slamming in heaven. On the wall, soldiers jog to firing steps. Lieutenant stares through binoculars, his face white under the helmet. "Colonel Anderson, command," a voice barks over the radio in his hand. "Unknown contact outside the north wall." Repeating, "Unknown contact, massive impact. No explosion. No sign of Firefly ordnance. We've got something moving down there." "Get me visuals," Colonel Anderson snaps from the tower, high in the central command post. He is a tired man in a clean uniform, headset pressed to his ear. Screens flicker around him, old cameras showing grey streets, checkpoints, the wall. One screen crackles, then shows the outside ground. The lens is cracked, but the image is clear enough. A crater smokes in the dead zone beyond the wall. The old buildings there lean like drunk giants, eaten by time and fungus. In the center of the crater, something golden stirs. Anderson leans closer. For a moment, radioactive fear grips him. If this is a new stage of the infection, if the fungus has bloomed into some new nightmare, the zone is finished. Then the shape stands up. It is a man, if you can call it that. He is twice the height of any soldier and wrapped in armor that shines like the sun. Great plates of gold cover his chest and shoulders, carved with symbols Anderson cannot read but somehow fears. A long cloak hangs behind him, heavy and torn by the fall, yet still bright. His face is strong and cruel and sad, all at once, framed by a halo of red light. In one hand he holds a sword of burning light. In the other he holds nothing, but the air around that hand shakes like heated air above a fire. The crater around him is clear of spores. There had been a pale dust mat there, the usual layer of quiet death. Now it is simply gone, turned to smoke and drifting away. Jesus, a young operator whispers. Anderson feels the same word on his tongue and hates it. All units, eyes on the north wall, he says instead. Do not fire. Repeat, do not fire until I say. I want Firefly chatter monitored. If this is their toy, I want to know. The golden figure looks up at the wall. Even through a dirty camera, Anderson feels that gaze like a hand on his chest, like being weighed. Outside, beyond the crater's rim, things move. In the ruined streets, the infected have woken. Runners with twitching limbs, stalkers clinging to walls, slow, heavy shapes of bloaters, their bodies bulging with hardened fungus. For years they have hunted by sound and by spores. Now something new calls to them. They sense light, heat, life so bright it hurts. They scream. Their shrieks roll over the dead zone and crash against the wall. People inside the QZ flinch. On the ration street, someone yells, "Infected on the wall," and the line explodes in panic. Joel is already moving. "Tess," he shouts over the noise. She appears at his side, pushing through the crowd. Tough, sharp-eyed, jaw clenched, she looks up at the wall and then at him. "This isn't our problem," she says. "We get the ration cards. We move the battery. The sky rumbles again. Outside the wall, the golden man lifts his burning sword. He steps out of the crater. He does not charge. He walks. Every step is slow and heavy, but the ground seems to steady under his boots. When he passes over old spore patches, they curl and blacken, as if burned by invisible fire. To him, the infected are small. The first runner throws itself at him, mouth open, teeth snapping. Its face is a mess of fungus plates. Its eyes are gone. It is fast and wild and deadly, enough to tear any soldier apart. The Emperor flicks his sword. The runner falls in two clean pieces, both already burning, the fungus shriveling away. Another comes from the side. He turns his head. The air cracks. The infected's neck snaps like a twig, though nothing touches it. It drops, limp. He is still walking toward the wall. Codex note: a shard body of the Emperor is a focused piece of his will and power, strong enough to level armies yet bound to mortal rules and pain. Inside his mind, there is no shock. He has seen 1,000 plagues, 1,000,000 twisted forms. This fungus is crude compared to the warp spawn of his own age. But it has done what those horrors always do, turned humans into tools. He hates it for that. He hates that it learned to think. As he walks, he sees more than the street around him. Warp sight shows him lines of faint light and shadow. The past and future of this place dance before his eyes. He sees soldiers herding children at gunpoint when the outbreak began. He sees firebombs falling on cities. He sees people pushed into zones, starved, beaten, lied to in the name of order. He sees a little girl with dark hair and angry eyes, tied to a chair in a school. She shines in his sight, not like a psyker, not like a warp-active soul. She glows because the fungus inside her failed to take hold. Her blood sings yes and no at the same time. He knows she is the one he saw from the throne. He feels something else too. Behind him, across impossible distance, the golden throne shakes. Souls burn faster. The Astronomicon, his great psychic beacon in his own age, flickers. Every step he takes here pulls power from there. He accepts the pain. This world is old terror. His terror, long before he forged it. These people are still his, even if they do not know him. He has come to judge and to save if he can. On the wall, Colonel Anderson decides. North Battery, ready, he snaps. If that thing gets within 20 meters of the wall and does anything hostile, we put it down. Firefly teams, report in. I want to know if anyone knew this was coming. Sir, Firefly radio is active, an operator says, hand to his headset. Encrypted. They're talking about the light in the sky. Orders, sir? Find their leader. Marlene, Anderson says. Tell her if this is her fault. I'm putting her head on a spike. Marlene is already moving. In a dark room under an old building, she jabs a needle into her arm and strips off an IV line. The meds make her lightheaded, but she stands anyway. Around her, Fireflies hurry to pack guns, maps, medical kits. That was not Fedra, one of them says, wide-eyed. No, Marlene says. No, it wasn't. She feels the same pressure in her chest that she once felt looking at the night sky before the outbreak, when stars still meant something. But if there is a new power here, Fedra will try to own it, or kill it. We need eyes on it now. She thinks of the girl she promised to protect, Ellie, the immune one, the possible cure, the child she sent away for safety. She grabs her rifle. Tell the State House team to hold, she says. We may need to move the girl sooner than planned. In the street, Joel and Tess push through the crowd to a side alley. Guards shout for people to stay in line. No one listens. Panic has no respect for orders. We're not going to the wall, Tess says. We don't want to be anywhere near the wall. Yeah, Joel mutters, but his eyes keep flicking upward, toward where the smoke rises. The gunfire outside has changed. It has a rhythm now, short bursts, not frantic, like someone is taking careful aim. You ever heard guns sound like that? No, Tess says, and I don't want to. They slip down a back street, past a dead storefront, toward a meeting point. They are supposed to trade for a car battery today. Life goes on, even when the sky rips open, but the city does not let them ignore it. A shockwave rolls through the alley, a pulse of warm air that tastes like metal through their masks. Dust falls from the broken ceiling above. Somewhere, glass breaks. Joel stumbles, catches himself on a wall. What now? Outside the wall, the Emperor has begun to work in earnest. The infected come from all sides now. Dozens, then hundreds. Drawn by his presence, by the bright knot of his soul in the dark. They are fast and savage and tireless. He could destroy them all with a thought. He could burn every spore within a mile of this place, turn them to ash, clean the earth. But his shard body is bound by limits. Every great act here drains the throne there. Every burst of power makes his far future more fragile. He chooses his targets. A pack of runners rushes him. He lifts his empty hand. The air crushes them flat, bones snapping, fungus pulping, all without a mark on the ground. Behind them, a bloater lumbers forward, thick plates of fungus on its body. It throws a sack of spores. He steps into it. Spores burst around him in a white cloud. On any human, they would cling and crawl, sliding down into lungs, eyes, cuts. Inside his aura, they burn. They crackle like tiny embers and vanish. He cuts the bloater in half. On the wall, soldiers stare. "Sir, he's killing them," a sergeant says. "Sir, he's taking them apart like nothing. They can't even touch him." Colonel Anderson watches, throat dry. All his training tells him to mistrust miracles. But the dead zone outside the north wall has been a no-go area for years, packed with infected. Now, in minutes, there are smoking corpses and clear ground. "Maybe we should, help," the sergeant says. Anderson hesitates. Then he says, "North Battery, hold fire. All rifle teams, pick off anything that gets past him. Let's see if he can do our job for us." The Emperor hears the gunfire behind him shift. Human bullets crack past, dropping stragglers he ignores. He allows it. He wants them to see themselves as part of this fight, not just guests. Then he feels it. Something pushes back. It is faint, deep under the city, like a slow breath in the dirt. The fungus is not only on bodies. It runs through walls, under roads, in basements, under fields far away. It is a network, and it is awake. His presence burns it. It hurts. Like any living thing, it tries to pull back. But it cannot pull out of its hosts. So it does the only thing it can. It presses forward instead. Spores burst from cracks in the asphalt. Vines of white mycelium strain under manholes. Infected farther out turn as one and begin to run toward Boston. Not in random packs, but as a wave. This is not simple hunger. The fungus has felt the Emperor's mind. It does not understand him, but it knows. This is a threat to its rule. It will throw everything it has. He sees that future in a flash. A wall of infected thousands deep, hitting the QZ. Soldiers falling. Civilians torn apart. The zone lost in a day. He tightens his grip on his sword. He also sees the girl again. Her soul burns in his warp sight, bright and clear. He sees a hospital room. A plan to cut into her. A debate about the needs of the many against the life of one. He sees the beginnings of a choice that will decide the fate of this world. He knows where she is now. Not the exact room, but the direction. A thin line of bright possibility runs from him to her. "I am late," he says under his breath. His voice rolls over the dead zone like a storm. Inside the QZ, in a small, locked room that used to be a classroom, Ellie snaps her head up. She has been pacing. The fireflies who were supposed to move her are late. She is bored and angry and scared and hiding it all under jokes. But now, something heavy presses on her chest. "Okay, what was that?" she mutters, rubbing her arms. Earthquake? Ghost? Whatever. She looks up at the stained ceiling. For a second, she thinks she sees golden light through the cracks. Then the door bangs open. A firefly stumbles in, coughing, mask askew. "Kid, we gotta move," he gasps. Something hit outside the wall. Fedra's going nuts. Marlene says we move you now. Get your stuff. Ellie grabs her backpack. "About time," she says. "Where are we going?" "Meeting point," he says. "You'll meet your escorts there. Then to the State House. Then we'll see." He does not tell her how badly the plan has already gone off script. In another part of Boston, Joel and Tess reach their contact. The battery deal falls apart in gunfire and knives, like everything else in this world. They survive. Others do not. When the dust settles, Marlene is there, wounded but standing, blood on her side and fury in her eyes. "You're the smugglers," she says, pointing at Joel and Tess. "The ones who get things done. Good. I need you. Joel's lip curls. We had a deal with Robert, he says. He's dead. So is the battery. You got nothing I want. Marlene's jaw tightens. Pain makes her voice rough, but her gaze is steady. You want a clean slate, she says. Off the books. Out of Phaedra's sight. Fuel, guns. Whatever you can carry. I can give you that. In exchange, you take something out of the city for me. Something, Tess asks. Her eyes narrow. Not someone. Marlene looks at her. It's a kid, she admits. And she's more important than you can imagine. Joel laughs, a short, bitter sound. We're not doing kid runs, he says. Find someone else. Before Marlene can answer, the building shakes again. Dust and bits of old plaster fall from the ceiling. A deep roar rolls through the air. It is not an explosion. It is more like a giant taking a step. Tess swears. That from the wall. Marlene sways, catching herself on a table. He's still out there, she says softly. The golden man. What golden man? Joel asks. Marlene gives him a hard look. You really don't listen to radio, do you? She says. Something fell out of the sky and started killing infected, like they were nothing. Phaedra's watching him. So are we. Whatever he is, he's about to change everything. Joel opens his mouth to tell her he doesn't care. He just wants his life simple as it can be in this dead world. Then another roar cuts through the city. Outside, at the north wall, the Emperor reaches the base of the concrete barrier. It rises before him high and grey, a crude fort around a wounded heart. Guards stare down at him, rifles ready but hands shaking. He looks up at them. Children of terror, he says, and his voice carries without effort. You hide from the dark, and the dark has grown bold. I will hold it back. Open your gates. Let me inside. We must speak. None of them understand the words the way he means them. He speaks low Gothic, the trade tongue of his far future. But the warp twists and shapes his sound. To them, it comes in rough English, heavy and clear. Colonel Anderson hears him through a speaker in the tower. The audio feed from the wall mic crackles, then steadies. Is that live? Anderson asks. Yes, sir, the operator says. That's him. He's talking. Put me through, Anderson says. He presses a button. This is Colonel James Anderson of the Boston Quarantine Zone, he says, voice calm by force of habit. Identify yourself. State your intent, and move back from my wall. The Emperor looks up, eyes narrowing. This is your fortress, he asks. You command here? Anderson feels for a moment like a boy explaining himself to a stern father. He pushes the feeling down. I do, he says. You dropped a crater on my doorstep. I've got infected swarming outside my wall. I need to know if you're going to make that worse. I will make it better, the Emperor says, if you allow me. Big promise, Anderson says. You've got some kind of suit, weapon, whatever. You want inside my zone, you follow my orders. You hand over your gear. Otherwise, you stay out there and kill as many of those monsters as you want. That works for me. On the other line, someone makes a small, helpless sound. Anderson ignores it. The Emperor is silent for a moment. He has heard this tone before. Petty rulers guarding small scraps of power. He could crush this concrete shell with his mind, but he came to judge, not to rule. Not yet. Your orders end at your wall, he says. Mine do not. You will open your gate. In the tower, alarms begin to beep. Sir, movement, someone shouts. Outside, the infected wave finally reaches the cleared ground. Hundreds of them pour into view. Runners, stalkers, bloaters. They come around buildings, down alleys, over cars. Their screams merge into one jagged sound. Behind them, farther out, the sky darkens. A dust cloud rises, thick and low. The Emperor's warp sight shows him more. The network under the city is pulsing, sending voltage and madness to every host. He steps back from the wall. He raises his sword. "Fine," he says quietly. "I will open a gate of my own." The first wave hits him. They leap and claw and bite. They break against his armor, against his will. His sword cuts lines of white fire through their ranks. Each stroke is clean. Heads roll, limbs fall, fungus burns. He uses more power now. He cannot afford to be slow. He cannot let a single infected reach the wall. So he throws aside caution and reaches deeper into the warp, drawing more strength into his shard body. Light bursts from him in a ring. Infected in all directions are flung back, bones cracking. Spores in the air ignite in a brief, strange flame. For a moment, the world is a white-gold blur. On the golden throne, far away and far ahead in time, 100 psychers die at once. Their souls burn like candles in a furnace. The Emperor feels each one. He grits his teeth and keeps fighting. Inside the QZ, on a rooftop near the north wall, a Firefly sniper watches through her scope. She sees the golden giant fighting like 5 tanks at once. She sees infected torn apart, turned to smoking piles. She cannot look away. "What is he?" she whispers. Marlene's voice crackles in her earpiece. "Unknown," she says. "But Fedra's holding fire, so he's doing their work for them." "Any sign he's with them?" "No," the sniper says. "If anything, they're scared of him too." "Good," Marlene says. "Keep eyes on him, and get ready to move. I've found my smugglers." Back in the ruined building, Marlene turns to Joel and Tess. "You hear that?" she says, nodding toward the distant roar. "That's the world changing. Fedra will cling to it, try to bend it. I can't let that happen. So I'm moving my best chance out of their hands today." She looks Joel in the eye. "The kid is immune," she says. "She was bitten. She didn't turn. We think she's the key to a vaccine, to a cure. You take her to the State House. My people get her west. She could end this." Joel stares at her. He thinks of the sky tearing open, of the golden man fighting monsters like it is nothing. He thinks of his daughter, long dead. The world did not save her. The world took her. He does not believe in cures. Tess looks between them. She sees the way Joel's jaw tightens. She knows that look. It is the look he has when he wants to run, but hates himself for it. "We'll do it," Tess says, before he can refuse. "For double what you offered those other guys. And we get paid whether she saves the world or not." Marlene nods. "Fine," she says. "She's at the old school. My man is bringing her. You meet them there. But you move fast. We don't know how long the wall holds." Joel glares at Tess. "You volunteering me for more than I signed up for," he mutters. She leans close. "We need this," she says softly. "You want to keep going? We need a big job, big pay. And maybe she really is what they say." He looks away. He does not say yes. He does not say no. Outside, the Emperor drives his sword down into the asphalt. The ground shakes. Cracks spread out like lines on glass. From those cracks, fire rises, golden and white. It is not real fire. It is his will burning the fungal networks that run under the road. Infected stumble and fall as the mine behind them shorts out. For a moment, the wave falters. He uses the brief pause to speak again. "Colonel Anderson," he calls, his voice still somehow calm. "Your wall may stand today because I am here, but your city will not stand long if you keep your people locked in fear. There is a child in your care who must move. She carries your only true hope." In the tower, Anderson swears. "Sir," an operator asks, He's reading our files now? Anderson snaps. How the hell does he know that? We only have rumors about some immune kid, and that's from Firefly Intel. He knows about Ellie. That scares him more than the giant's strength. If he thinks he can tell me how to run my city, he's wrong, Anderson says. But if he's right about the threat level... He looks at the screens. More infected are coming into view. The dust cloud grows. We don't have the ammo for this, not for long. He thinks fast. Get more squads to the north wall, he orders. Evacuate non-essential workers from the outer streets and find out if the Fireflies are doing anything with kids today. I want to know where that girl is. He will not let a rebel group and a walking god decide the fate of his zone without him. The Emperor hears none of this. He feels only the fungus pushing back again. It has learned a lesson. His power hurts it. So it changes its shape. Deep under Boston, cords of mycelium twist together, trying to form thicker channels, resist the burn. The infected above move in new patterns, spreading out, trying to flank him, climb over cars, through buildings, anywhere his sight might be blocked. He smiles, humorless. You learn, he murmurs. Good. He cuts them down anyway. With each great stroke, the pain in his far future body grows. But he also feels something else build inside him here. This shard body is adjusting to the rules of this time and place. The more he fights, the better he will understand his limits. He will need that knowledge soon. Because somewhere ahead, in the broken school where Ellie waits to be moved, a different threat is forming. A group of raiders has seen the chaos at the wall and decided today is a good day to grab hostages and loot. They do not know about the immune girl. They do not care. They will collide with Joel, Tess, Ellie, and the Emperor's plans like stones thrown into a river. For now, Act 1 ends with a simple picture. Outside the north wall, a golden giant fights a sea of monsters, power blazing, every blow a cost. Inside Boston, deals are made in blood and whispers. A man who has lost a daughter is about to be tied to a girl who might save the world. The fungus network, deep and wide, wakes up and turns its alien mind toward this new enemy. And high above it all, for just a moment, the torn sky still glows faintly gold, the scar of the Emperor's arrival not yet healed. Up to now, a golden giant fell from the sky, burned infected outside the north wall, and shook a dead god throne far in the future. Inside Boston, a bitter smuggler took a job to move a girl who might be the cure. Under their feet, the fungus woke up and began to think harder. Now the first real battle begins. The infected wave hits the cleared ground like a tide of meat and mold. Runners trip over the bodies of the ones already cut down. Stalkers cling to broken walls and leap. Clickers stumble forward, heads split like flowers of bone and fungus, mouths clicking, hands clawing. Behind them, bloaters and worse shapes push, bulging with hardened plates. The Emperor stands in the open. His armor is scraped and smoked. His cloak is burned at the edge. The light around him is dimmer than when he first fell. Every time he burned the spores, he paid for it on the throne, far away. He cannot keep burning like that. He sees the wall at his back. He sees soldiers up there, masks on, guns ready. He sees their fear. He also sees their skill. They have held this zone for 20 years with little more than grit and bullets. Today, they have him. I will not waste you, he murmurs. He lifts his empty hand. Instead of a blast, he reaches down with his mind. Not into the warp this time, but into the world. Into iron, stone, and old wire. Beneath Boston lies a skeleton of the old age. Pipes, cables, train lines, sewers. He feels them like bones. Some are broken, some are still whole. All are wrapped in the thin white threads of fungus. He pushes his will along the metal. At the north wall, street lamps that have not worked for years flicker. Rusted rails under cracked streets hum. Old cables buried in dirt glow dull red. He does not pour raw psychic fire into them. That would be waste. Instead, he uses them as a knife. He sends a tight line of force, riding the metal, aimed at the thickest knots of mycelium. He burns only those, not the whole ground. Here and there, under broken buses and in basements, thick fungal roots shriek and blacken. The wave above shudders. Clickers scream as the signal in their bodies falters for a heartbeat. Some trip, some stop, heads turning, confused. Now, the Emperor says. On the wall, Colonel Anderson hears nothing, but he sees the stumble. Fire, he roars. Rifles crack, machine guns chatter. A mounted gun that was meant for riots now chews through infected instead. Soldiers who have shot at hungry civilians for years now pour bullets into real monsters, and some of the guilt in their chests eases. Infected at the edge of the wave drop in rows. The Emperor moves. He does not meet the wave head-on this time. He walks along its front, cutting the leading edge. He slices through runners' legs, drops them into the bullets behind. He knocks bloaters back into the crowd so their spore sacs burst among the infected, not near the wall. When clickers rush him, fast and wild, he does something new. He does not kill them all. He reaches out and brushes minds that are almost gone. There is barely anything left of the humans they once were, just pain and noise. But the fungus there is still part of the same network that runs under the city. He sends a command down that path. Stop. For a heartbeat, a ring of clickers freeze around him. They shudder. Their claws twitch. The network pushes back hard. His head throbs. Blood trickles from his nose. But the split-second stall is enough. The wall guns mow those clickers down. He lets the command go. His skull feels like it is full of hot sand. He tastes iron and smoke. On the golden throne, alarms that do not exist in this age would be screaming. His shard body is using tricks he never meant to use here. He ignores the pain. Codex note. Even a shard of the Emperor can push simple orders along alien minds, but every attempt risks backlash. As those minds resist and adapt, the wave breaks. Not all at once, not like a clean line. It shatters in chunks. Here, a dozen infected try to climb over a bus, and the bus flips under a golden hand, crushing them. There, a group tries to flank through a building, and the building's metal frame glows, sagging, trapping them in a cage of hot steel. What the Emperor does not burn, the wall guns cut down. After long minutes, there are no more new bodies pouring in. The ones that remain are stragglers, here and there in the ruins, easy to pick off. Silence falls in patches like dust. The Emperor stands in the middle of a field of corpses. Fungus smoke hangs low. It does not drift far. His aura weakens the spores, keeps them from rising into the wind. The air smells like wet ash and old rot. He lowers his sword. His armor is dull now. The golden plates have black streaks, and in some places, deep cracks, where the warp light inside tried to burst out. His hand on the hilt is shaking. He looks at that hand. Too much, he says quietly. Already too much. He turns to the wall. Soldiers stand there, masks still on, rifles still in hand. None of them cheer. Cheering has been beaten out of them by 2 decades of small, dirty wins and big, dirty losses. But some raise a hand in a stiff, unsure salute. He nods once in return. "Colonel Anderson," he calls, "it is done for now. Open your gate. There is much to discuss." In the tower, Anderson watches the last writhing shapes go still. He has seen massacres, bombings, hunters tearing into refugees, but he has never seen anything like this. One man and a few guns wiped out what would have taken all his ammo and half his force. He knows he should be glad. He is also terrified. "Sir," the sergeant asks, "do we let him in?" "If we don't, he stays out there," Anderson says. "Next time the wave comes, maybe he decides we're on the wrong side of the wall." He takes a breath. "Open the north gate," he orders. "Small personnel lock only, full guard, and put together a council. I want reps from medical, logistics, security. And get that preacher, Father Donnelly. People listen to him. If this thing is a demon or an angel, I want both guns and Bibles in the room." "And the fireflies, sir?" someone asks. Anderson's jaw tightens. "Bring in Marlene," he says. "If she's still alive. If this is about that immune girl, she's going to show up sooner or later. I'd rather have her at my table than in my walls." The Emperor steps through the north gate into Boston. The gate itself is a tight concrete throat, 2 thick steel doors with a short tunnel between. The inner door is flanked by machine guns and nervous men. He has to stoop to enter. As he passes under the wall, he feels the difference. Inside, the air is crowded, not with spores, with people, souls packed into small spaces, fear, anger, boredom, small joys. The city is a box of human feelings under a lid of rules. He straightens on the other side. The street is narrow. Buildings lean over it, patched and repatched. Laundry hangs on lines between them. Faces stare from windows and doorways. Adults hush, children. Some try to kneel, some try to run. Soldiers escort him, rifles ready, fingers tight on triggers. They have orders not to fire. Orders shake. "Eyes front," the squad leader barks. "We're just walking him to command. You shoot only if he kills us first." The Emperor looks around. He sees ration lines. He sees sick people turned away from a clinic door because their bites are too fresh or their papers are wrong. He sees a man get beaten for breaking curfew by 5 minutes. He sees a woman selling pills in a corner. He says nothing. He walks. In his head, he hears the throne crack again. Every step here is weight on that. But he will not rush. Judgment must be based on more than one battle. They reach an old federal building that has become Fedra Command. Inside, hallways smell of stale coffee and gun oil. Posters about safety and loyalty peel off the walls. Generators thrum. Radios crackle. In a large room that used to be a courtroom, a table has been set up. Colonel Anderson stands at its head. He is still in armor, helmet off, grey hair damp with sweat. To his right, a woman in a dirty white coat, Dr. Harper, head of medical. To his left, a thin man in a collar and threadbare black suit, Father Donnelly. Near the back, 2 soldiers with firefly armbands patched off their sleeves and replaced with Fedra grey. Reformed rebels. Marlene stands there too, wrist cuffs on, a bandage over her side. She holds herself upright with pure will. Her eyes are bright with pain and anger. The Emperor enters. The room goes still. He stops at the far side of the table, looming over it. Anderson forces himself to meet his eyes. "You wanted to talk," he says. "We're talking. I won't pretend I'm not grateful. You saved this zone, for today. But I need to know what you are and what you want." "I am the Emperor of mankind," the Golden Giant says. The words hang in the air. Donnelly swallows. "There is only one God," he says softly. "Then call me something else," the Emperor says. "I use the title that will be mine long after this age. Here now, I am a protector who fell from the sky. That should be enough." Dr. Harper stares at him, like he is a rare infection. You're not in any of our files, she says. No record, no survivor gossip, no old world project leaks. People have been digging through that data for years. I am not of this time, he says, but that story will not help you live through tomorrow. Marlene leans forward. You knew about the girl, she says. You mentioned a child at the wall. How? He looks at her. I see souls, he says. I see what burns bright in this mass of fear. Your girl, the immune one, shines. Her path is wrapped around the fate of this plague. If she dies, your last true hope dies with her. Anderson tenses. Rumors, he says. Half whispers from firefly smugglers. You talk like she's proven. She is, Marlene says. We tested her. We watched the bite. We watched it heal without spread. She is real. Fireflies have real things all the time, one of the ex-rebels mutters. Real plans, real bombs, real dead kids. She ignores him. Her eyes stay on the Emperor. You said your last true hope, she says. There are others, other paths. Many, he says. All of them worse, all of them slower, all of them costing more lives. The fungus will not stop because you build higher walls. It will not stop because you throw more bodies at it. It will adapt. He puts a hand on the table. The wood creaks under the pressure. Tomes of old lore shake. You have one child who holds an answer in her blood, he says. You will not cut that answer out and throw the vessel away. Anderson's eyes narrow. You know our files, but not our problems, he says. We have 20,000 mouths to feed. We have infected at the walls every week. Our vaccines are old world fairy tales. We deal in ration cards, not miracles. He looks at Marlene. Your people want to march that kid across half the country, he says, through raiders, infected, God knows what, to some lab that may not even exist anymore. You know what that sounds like to me? A good way to lose the only hope you have. Marlene fires back. Keeping her in your QZ is worse, she says. You'll lock her in a room and bleed her like a lab rat. You'll take samples until she dies, then tell the public she never existed. That's how Fedra works. Better a dead secret than a dead city, Dr. Harper says quietly. Donnelly raises a hand. We are talking about a child, he says. A person, not a tool. God didn't stop the outbreak, Anderson snaps. God didn't stop the bombs. I'm not betting my people on his feelings about one girl. The Emperor lets them argue for a few seconds. Then he slams his hand flat on the table. The sound is like a cannon in the small room. Papers jump. A crack runs through the wood. Enough, he says. They fall silent. He looks at Anderson first. You cling to what you can see and count, he says. Food, bullets, numbers on clips and in ration books. That is not wrong. An army marches on supply. A city starves without grain. But if you only ever hold what you can see, you will never reach what might be. He turns to Marlene. You chase a light on the horizon, he says. You are ready to sacrifice much for that light. That too is not wrong. Great works demand cost. But if you treat every person as fuel for your dream will rot from the inside. He glances at Donnelly. You speak of God, he says. You want rules that say clearly, this is right, this is wrong. That can help small souls stand firm. But when rules are used to turn away from hard choices instead of face them, they become chains. He looks at them all. My law is simple, he says. Humanity must endure. Not as cattle in pens, not as slaves to fungus. As free thinking beings spread across stars you have not yet seen. Every choice you make must be weighed against that. Does it build a future where more humans live as humans? Or does it lock them in fear and walls until they die out? Anderson folds his arms. So what's your call then? He asks. You walked in here, killed our monsters, and gave us a speech. What do you actually want us to do? The Emperor's gaze hardens. You will let the girl leave this city, he says, under guard, with guides who know the paths. You will not cage her. You will not cut her open. You will not tell yourselves that her death is neat math. I will see her path taken, and I will break any who try to stop it. Marlene breathes out and almost sob. That was the plan, she says, but we were going to do it without you. You will do it with me, he says, or not at all. Dr. Harper speaks up. You talk like you can be everywhere at once, she says. You can't. We watched the feed. You struggled out there. You bled. If you go off on some escort mission, who holds the walls? Who keeps the fungus out of Boston? Anderson nods. She has a point, he says. You're a big gun. I won't deny that. But you're still one gun. If you walk away with some kid, my people die. That's not math I like. The Emperor is silent. He knows the truth. His shard body is limited. His throne is cracking. He cannot be in all places in this age. He chose to come here, to this line of time, and now he must live with the narrowness of it. He feels the fungus again. It flows under their feet, like water in pipes. It is listening, learning. The shock he sent down the metal lines did not go unanswered. It has already begun to change around the burn patches. He looks down at the floor. You think your walls are strong, he says. They are not. The fungus has roots under them you do not see. My presence here has made it take you more seriously. It will no longer be content to nibble at your edges. It will try to swallow. How do you know that? Dr. Harper asks. Because today, on the field, it adapted, he says. It shifted its patterns. It pushed more infected toward gaps, away from my strongest blows. A mind is waking in it, slow but rising. That mind will send a piece of itself to test me and you both. When it does, this city will be a battleground whether I stand on your wall or not. A radio on the wall crackles. Colonel, a voice pants. You need to hear this. Patrol in Sector 5 reports new growth, fast growth. We're seeing, I don't even know, like the walls are sweating fungus. It's not like before. Another voice cuts in from Sector 2. Sir, we've got clicks and runners just standing, not moving, like they're waiting for something. Anderson's look says, prove it. The Emperor nods toward the radio. Your enemy is already changing, he says. You can confirm it yourself. The question is not whether I go or stay. The question is how we use what I am before it breaks. Donnelly's face is pale. If there is a mind in this curse, he whispers, then it too is a kind of spirit. It is not holy, the Emperor says. It is a parasite that learned to think. In my age, we call such things worse names. If allowed to grow, it will treat you as tools, as meat with legs. It will promise peace if you bend. It will mean you become part of it. Marlene shudders. Can it talk? She asks. Not with a mouth, he says. It talks with urges, with visions, with the way it moves its hosts. You may feel dreams that are not yours, doubts not your own. If you have weak minds in this city, watch them. They will be its first puppets. Anderson runs a hand over his face. This is getting away from me, he says. Okay, we have a possible God-man, a possible alien brain fungus, and one maybe magic kid. I command soldiers, not fairy tales. He points at the Emperor. You want to move the girl? Fine. But you don't decide that alone. This is my zone. I have to answer to the people inside it. If I throw away our last walls on a bad bet, I might as well shoot myself now. Marlene's voice softens, just a little. Colonel, she says, what if this is the only good bet you get? How long do you really think you can hold out? You've seen the rations, the ammo. You've seen folks giving up. You can keep them alive for what? 10 years? 20? And then what? They die trapped behind concrete. He glares at her. You'd rather blow it all up in one last push, he says. I know your type. She lifts her chin. I'd rather give us a chance, she says. The Emperor listens. He hears fear behind Anderson's anger. He hears grief behind Marlene's fire. He hears faith behind Donnelly's rules. He realizes something. They are all trying to save the same thing. They just disagree on how big save is allowed to be. Listen, he says. They quiet. You stand on 3 edges, he says. One edge is survival without a future. You keep your walls and your rules and let the world rot outside. Your grandchildren die in the same streets. Another edge is dreams without care. You chase a cure so hard you break the few lives you still hold. You leave nothing for that cure to heal. The third edge is faith without sight. You repeat words while the ground falls away beneath you, hoping a hand will catch you that never comes. He taps the table gently. Step back from the edges, he says. Make a bridge. We will move the girl, but we will not abandon the city. I will teach your soldiers new ways to fight this mind. I will give you tools to shore up your walls against more than claws. In return, you will stop treating your people as numbers in a ledger and start treating them as citizens to be led. Citizens, Anderson echoes. Big word for a ration card. In my time, it means people who have a say, the Emperor says. You can start small. Let them see the truth. There is a threat greater than raiders. There is a hope greater than staying behind fences. If you tell them nothing, they will drown in rumors instead. Dr. Harper looks tired. And the girl, she asks, what say does she get? All of it, he says. The room stirs. He means it. She is not a holy relic or a lab sample, he says. She is a child. You will tell her the risks, the choices. You will not lie to her that she is going on a safe trip. If she chooses to go, you will treat that choice as binding. Marlene's throat works. She's 14, she says. We don't ask 14-year-olds to carry the world. You already are, the Emperor says. You just were going to pretend you were not. That hits. Marlene looks away. Dr. Harper speaks first. If what he says is true, this fungus mind can hurt him because it doesn't fight him head on, she says. It runs through tiny threads everywhere. His strength is big strikes. It attacks with 1 billion cuts. Donnelly adds, it can whisper into people he wants to save. If he cares too much, their fear can be turned into his chain. The more he binds his heart to us, the more our pain can break him. Marlene says, it doesn't need to beat him in a fair fight. It can choke off his power by making him choose. Stay at the wall or save the girl. Save the city or save the road. Every choice costs him ground. Anderson sums it up. It makes him play defense, he says. If we don't get smarter, that thing will bleed him dry without ever touching his shiny armor. In a small classroom in another part of the zone, Ellie sits on a desk and kicks her foot against the metal. She is bored again. Her Firefly escort paces by the door. Outside, people run more than usual. There are more shouts, more radio calls. She can feel the tension through the walls. Hey, she says. What's going on out there? Did someone finally blow up the ration lines? Please say yes. The man, Lewis, shakes his head. Stay off the windows, he says. We're leaving soon. That's all you need to know. She rolls her eyes. You know that's the fastest way to make me want to know more, right? She says. You can't just say something crazy is happening and expect me to sit here like a plant. Somewhere overhead, there's a low, distant boom. She goes still. Okay, that's not normal, she says. A moment later, she feels it again. That pressure in her chest, that warmth, like a sunbeam on her back even though there is no sun in here. She hops down from the desk and walks to the door. Hey, Lewis starts. She presses her hand to the wood. For a heartbeat, she sees a picture in her mind. A field of grey bodies outside the wall. A tall golden figure with a burning sword. She has never seen him before, but he feels familiar. Not like family. Like a story she almost remembers from a dream. Her hand tingles. She snatches it back. Lewis gapes at her. What? He asks. Nothing, she lies quickly. Then she grins, because that is easier than saying she just saw a man of light killing monsters. Just thinking how much I'd rather be any place than stuck in a classroom. Soon, she will get her wish. Back in the courtroom, Anderson gets a phone call. He listens, face growing harder. When he hangs up, he says, Sector reports confirm it. We've got weird growth under 4 different blocks, walls, basements, even inside some pipes. And we've got infected not acting like infected. They're holding, waiting, like he said. He looks at the Emperor. If this mind thing sends a piece of itself, he says, will you fight it here, in my streets, with my people around? Yes, the Emperor says, because it will come whether I stay or go. Better I meet part of it now, while it's still testing itself, than later, when it is sure. And the girl, Marlene asks. I will still take her out, he says. But not tonight. Tonight we prepare. We fight this probe. We learn how it moves. Tomorrow, if we live, we move. Anderson's jaw works. He hates that he is about to agree, but he does. Fine, he says. We set up a defense. You tell me where you want my guns. We coordinate. We stop the thing together. After that, we reconsider your field trip. Marlene bristles. You promised, she says. I promised to fight for a future where she can choose, he says. If we all die tonight because we sprinted for the door, there will be no choice. She deflates. Pain and tiredness catch up. All right, she says. We fight, then we move. Donnelly bows his head. I'll go to the people, he says. I'll tell them. Not everything, but enough. That there is a new threat and a new ally. That they must stand together. Anderson snorts. Don't cause a riot, he says. I'll do my best, Donnelly says. Though sometimes fear needs light to look toward, not more shadows to hide from. The Emperor nods once. He lays out a plan. He has them map the thickest known fungus patches under the city. Dr. Harper provides data from old exploration teams. Anderson adds notes from patrol reports. Marlene, grudgingly allowed to stand over the map, points out old tunnels the fireflies use. They see a pattern. The new growth is not random. It forms a crooked circle around one block near the center of the zone. That's the old subway hub, Harper says, half flooded. We sealed it years ago. Too many spores. That's where it will push, the Emperor says. It will send something up from there, something with more of its mind in it than the others. We will meet it there, below ground, away from the thickest civilian blocks. You're asking me to open a sealed tunnel full of spores and let my enemy grow something inside my walls, Anderson says. Do you hear yourself? The tunnel is already in your walls, the Emperor says. Sealed doors do not stop roots. They only make you feel safe. Better we choose the ground than let it burst through where it wants. Anderson curses under his breath. He knows the Emperor is right. All right, he says. We take a team down. Soldiers, medics. Maybe a flamethrower if we can get the damn thing working. You come with us. We cut this thing off at the root. He glances at Marlene. And you stay put, he says. No Firefly heroics in my tunnels. Marlene huffs. That's my city too, she says. My people die if your plan fails. I'm going. You're wounded, Harper says. You'd slow them down. I fought through worse, Marlene snaps. The Emperor looks between them. Compromise, he says. Marlene stays up top and coordinates your rebels and citizens. That way, if we fail below, there is still someone with sense who can move people out of the way. Anderson, you will not shoot her people on sight while this crisis lasts. You will point them at infected, not at each other. They both look like they swallowed glass, but they nod. The Emperor feels the fungus again. It is moving faster now. The mycelium under the sealed subway hub is swelling, drinking moisture from cracked pipes, pushing at old concrete. They are short on time. He turns to go. Where are you going? Harper asks. To prepare, he says. He walks out of the courtroom, down the hall, and into a side room that used to be a judge's chamber. He closes the door behind him. For the first time since he fell, he is alone. He drops to one knee. Pain slams into him, not from any wound here, but from the other end of his being. He feels the throne, the billions of souls that feed it, the Astronomican's great light. It is dimmer than it should be. His choice to send a shard here to this time was not made lightly. He knew it would strain his already broken frame, but the actual cost bites deeper than he planned. Every time he burns spores, psychers die. Every time he pushes orders through the fungus, the warp churns, and demons press closer to the borders of his Imperium. He cannot stop now. He can, however, change how he fights. He slows his breathing. He reaches for the warp in a different way. Not a roaring river, but a narrow stream. Controlled, measured. He threads it through symbols in his mind, through memories of old battles, where subtlety won what brute force could not. He sets limits. No more large circles of burning ground inside the city. No more wide shockwaves that kill soldiers as well as infected. He will fight this new mind close with precise cuts, even if it hurts more. Humanity must endure, he murmurs, but so must I, long enough to see it through. He opens his eyes. He rises. He is still, tired. The cracks in his armor are still there, but his will is steadier. His path is clear, down into the dark, to meet the fungus on his chosen ground. Outside, the city prepares for a battle no one understands. And in a locked classroom, Ellie sits on her desk, swinging her legs, unaware that beneath her school, roots of white fungus are thickening, reaching up like fingers. Soon, those fingers will try to grab at the mind of a god who does not belong in this time. And when they touch him, the war will shift from bodies to souls. Up to now, the Emperor fell from the sky, burned a wave of infected, and forced Fedra and Fireflies to sit at one table. A thinking fungus mind woke under Boston and began to move its roots toward a sealed subway hub. The city is tense and afraid. The next fight will not be simple. They gather in an old operations room under the federal building. Maps cover the walls. Hand-drawn lines show patrol routes, ration blocks, infected hotspots. A newer map sits on the table. It shows the tunnels under Boston, drawn in red, black, and blue. The Emperor stands at one end. Colonel Anderson, Dr. Harper, and a handful of squad leaders stand across from him. Father Donnelly leans against a wall, hands clasped. The Emperor points at the hub. This is where it will test us, he says. Your sealed subway hub is wrapped in fungus. spores, roots, host bodies. The mind behind it is using that place as a nest. It will grow a node there, a body with more of itself inside. A commander, Anderson says. Something like that, the Emperor says. Right now, it uses your infected as simple tools, runners, clickers. They act on short orders. This node will be different. It will think. It will react to me. It will send plans through the network. Harper rubs her forehead. And guns don't fix that, she says. We burn nests. We close tunnels. We shoot infected when they come near. We've been doing that for 20 years. He nods. You have fought the disease in its fingers, he says, not in its brain. You shoot bodies. You clear rooms. But the network under you stays. It regrows. It learns your habits. Anderson's mouth is tight. We don't have the luxury to go dig every root out of the earth, he says. We have walls to hold, people to feed. The Emperor's eyes harden. You did not, he says, until now. My presence here has forced it to show more of itself. It knows there is a threat it cannot reach with slow spread, so it will push a bigger piece into your city to test me. That is your chance to hit deeper. Harper looks at the map. So we go in, she says. We go down to the hub. We find the node. We kill it. Your fire helps, but only if used well, the Emperor says. Guns break bodies. Fire breaks spores and surface roots. But the main network is behind walls, inside concrete, far under your feet. If you blast the tunnels wide open and flood them with flame, you risk feeding it more heat and space. Wait, Anderson says. Fire feeds it. Heat and dead flesh feed it, he says. You burn nests, but you also make ash that feeds new growth. You bomb cities, and their bodies rot in place. It is not a simple foe. Every large act against it has a second edge. Donnelly frowns. Then what weapons do we use, he asks, if guns and fire are not enough? The Emperor taps his temple. Will, he says. The fungus can move along nerves and roots, but its mind sits in a strange place. Half in your world, half in the same sea my power comes from. I can hurt it there, where bullets cannot go. Harper studies him. You push orders through it, she says, like you did by the wall. You can stop clickers for a second, burn roots along power lines. Yes, he says, but every push wakes it more. Every command I send risks it sending one back. Anderson grimaces. So standard counters fail because it's spread out, he says. It's under us, in us, and half in whatever magic pool you swim in. We shoot and burn. It shifts and regrows. We close doors. It goes around them. We bomb it. We feed the soil. He looks up. That about it? Yes, the Emperor says simply. Silence hangs, heavy. Then Anderson straightens. All right, he says. We can't win with what we've been doing. We try something new. We take a strike team down. We let you fight it in that other place. But we back you up with fire and lead when you need it. He points to the map. My squad, he says. 2 fire teams. 1 with the flamethrower. Dr. Harper as med. Donnelly if he insists. Though God help me, I don't like dragging a preacher into a tunnel full of spores. I go where my people go, Donnelly says quietly. I can help them stand when fear presses. The Emperor nods. Good, he says. Your faith is a shape in the warp, a pattern. The fungus hates patterns it cannot digest. Your presence may confuse it. Harper raises a hand. And how will we know when this node appears? She asks. What does it look like? The Emperor's eyes grow distant. In my mind, I already see a form, he says. A mass of bodies grown together. Faces trapped in fungus. Jaws that speak for it. It will stand where the old tracks meet. It will act both as one creature and many. It will try to touch my mind. It will try to offer deals. Anderson snorts. Deals, he says. From mold. The warp makes strange kings, the Emperor says. Do not underestimate it. He looks around the room. We go now, he says. Every hour we delay, the node grows stronger. The entrance to the old subway hub is behind a rusted door in a maintenance shed. A thick line of yellow paint on the cracked floor shows where Fedra once marked the do not cross zone. Beyond that line, the air smells wetter. Even through masks, you can smell it. Wet soil, rotting, leaves, mushrooms. Soldiers in full gear stand ready. Their masks are old but clean. Their vests are patched. Their hands shake, but only a little. They have done tunnel runs before, just not like this. The Emperor stands at the front. He needs no mask. Spores that drift near him burn to ash. Anderson stands to his left, rifle slung. A heavy flamethrower harness hangs from the shoulders of a big man named Ruiz. Harper checks her pack one last time. Donnelly grips a worn wooden cross in one hand and a cheap flashlight in the other. The rusted door groans as they haul it open. Darkness yawns below. Old concrete steps lead down into shadow. Faint white threads crawl up the walls, thin as hair. Lights, Anderson orders. Beams flick on. They cut cones into the dark. Remember, the Emperor says low, do not shoot unless you must. Do not burn everything. Save fire for thick growths and host clusters. If you light the whole hub at once, you feed the air with spores faster than I can burn them. Ruiz grunts. Got it, he says. Target the big ugly stuff. They go down. Step by step, the city's noise fades behind them. The hum of generators, the shouts of guards, the distant crying of a baby, all of it thins and then vanishes. In its place there is drip and echo. Water drips from cracks, hits old tile, rings through hollow halls. Their boots thud. Their breathing rasps inside masks. The fungus is everywhere. It runs in pale ropes along the ceiling, down the walls, across the floor. Old posters under it still show bits of smiling faces and holiday deals, frozen in time. Harper's voice is muffled through her mask. We sealed this after a patrol went missing, she says. We assumed they died down here. We never went back to check. No one wanted to open it again. Donnelly's beam moves over shapes half buried in growth. They are still here, he says softly. They are. Bodies lie against the walls, curled, slumped, reaching. The fungus has grown through them, wrapping bones bursting through clothes. Some faces are smooth plates now. Others still show human skin around the edges. The Emperor does not slow. He feels the mind. It is a pressure on his own thoughts. A slow, heavy presence, like a huge animal half awake. Every step they take vibrates through its roots. It can feel them coming. It knows we are here, he says. Anderson's grip on his rifle tightens. Good, he says. Let it know. They reach the old hub. The space opens up. Once, trains met here. Tracks split and crossed. Signs hung from the ceiling to tell people where to go. Now the ceiling sags under heavy growth. Big fans hang still, wrapped in white threads. In the center of the hub, on the old platform, the fungus has built something. It is a mound at first glance. A low hill of bodies fused together, covered in fungus plates and fruiting bodies. Arms and legs stick out at wrong angles. Heads droop, mouths gape. As their lights wash over, some eyes open. The mound shudders. Slowly, it rises. Bodies pull free of the floor with wet sounds. Feet fused to fungus tear loose. As it straightens, more parts shift. A dozen torsos flex, all hooked into a central stem thick with cords. Faces turn. Some are covered in plate, some are half human. A few look almost intact, except for dead, white eyes and threads crawling out of nostrils and ears. They all speak at once. The voices are layered. Men, women, young, old. They echo in the large space. Light, they say. New light. Anderson's squad freezes. Jesus, Ruiz whispers. His finger twitches near the flamethrower trigger. The Emperor steps forward. He feels the mind behind the mound. It is more focused here, less spread. It presses up through this node like a hand through a puppet. It stares back. You have sent a vessel, he says. To parley or to strike. Multiple mouths curl. You burn, the voices say. You hurt roots. You break paths. Why? Because you use my people as walking soil, he says. You rob them of choice. You spread without care. That cannot stand. The mound tilts, almost like a dog tilting its head. Your people, it says. You say my. You claim them. You guide. You take many. Spend many. You burn your own. Far away. Images flash into his mind. Not from his memory, but made from fragments of roots that brush against his long, deep self. He sees dead worlds in his own age, bombed cities, men in power armor burning mutants with flamers, chaplains chanting as whole hives are put to the torch. He sees the golden throne and the endless line of psychers going to die in its coils. The node laughs, a broken wet sound. You and I same, it says. We choose paths, we cut branches, we use few to save many. We grow what must grow. The Emperor's jaw tightens. We are not the same, he says. I fight for humans to stay human. You fight to turn them into more of yourself. No different, the mound insists. Your humans are you. Your empire is you. Your golden light is you. You make one mind of many. I do same. You just use fire, not spores. Behind his visor, Anderson's eyes flick between the two. He does not understand all the words, but the tone is clear. The mold is mocking. Sir, Ruiz whispers, say the word. I'll fry this thing. Not yet, the Emperor says. He takes another step. The fungus under his boots hisses and blackens. You will not twist my duty into kinship, he tells the node. I will make hard choices. I will spend lives. But there are lines I will not cross. I will not erase minds. I will not trap them in walking prisons for eternity. The mound ripples. Lines, it says. Rules. You think they are your shape. They are your chain. Drop them. Spend more. Save more. Take my gift. Take network. Be everywhere. See everything. Guide all. No more surprises. No more loss. The hub seems to swell. Harper staggers. She grips a pillar to stay upright. Doc? Anderson asks. Her voice shakes. It's in my head, she gasps. I hear whispers, promises, showing me fields without walls, people walking without masks, no spores, no hunger. Donnelly grips his cross tighter. He hears whispers too. They encourage him to see the fungus as God's tool, a way to make all people one flock, never lost, never alone. They tempt him with the idea that free will is a burden, and that maybe letting it go is mercy. The Emperor feels those whispers as a loud roar. The fungus pushes through nearby roots, a long air full of tiny spores, into the edges of minds. It knows how to send simple orders. Now it tries more. It tries to latch onto his own mind. He lets it touch his surface. He wants to see how it thinks. It is like plunging his hand into a pool of cold worms. He feels millions of little feeling threads. Each one carries pain, hunger, fear, or numb obedience. Human nerves turned into cables. Through them, the node pushes pictures. Green cities, quiet streets, no screams, no gunfire. At peace, the voices say. No more war, no more starvation. all fed, all connected, all safe. He sees a world wrapped in white threads, every tree, every wall, every person joined. No one is alone. No one decides. There is no murder, because there is no one separate enough to hate. For a heartbeat, he feels the pull. He has fought war his whole life. He has seen worlds die. Part of him is so very tired of humans killing humans. A world without war, without hunger, is a sweet dream. The node feels that hint of longing. It pushes harder. Be king of this network, it says. Bring your far empire into roots. No more need for throne that kills. No more need for stars at war. You and I make one great mind. Humanity lives, just changed. His field of view narrows. Soldiers around him fade to shadows. The subway hub dims. In its place, he sees endless forest under white canopies. He sees Ellie, older, laughing with friends on a hill. The fungus is in the ground under her feet, but not in her body. It tells him it can arrange this. It can make special cases. It can make him an exception too. His chest tightens. He knows this is a lie, but he also knows he could twist their unity to his own plans. If he took control of the network, he could steer it, make it less cruel. Use it to hold humanity together. Use it as a tool. That is his flaw. He believes he can guide all things if given enough reach. The fungus sees it. You tell yourself they are free, it whispers, but you shape them. You lie to them. You hide truths. You think you know best. Let me help. Let me make it easier. One mind, one law, no resistance. A thin white thread slips across the crack in his armor. Just a hair. It touches the skin of his neck. It should burn there. His aura should kill it. But his focus is split. His mind is half in the vision. For a second, his guard drops. The thread digs in. It is small, smaller than a human hair. It crawls under his skin, following nerves, seeking higher ground. Pain lances through his spine. He comes back to himself. The subway hub roars into view. His squad is still there. The mound still stands. Giants of fungus loom from the ceiling. Harper is on her knees. Ruiz's hands shake on the flamer. Donnelly mutters a prayer under his breath. The Emperor feels something crawling up toward his skull. He knows this danger very well. In his age, demons try to creep into psyker minds all the time. They whisper, tempt, dig. The fungus is cruder, but it does the same. It wants a path into him, not through the warp alone, but through meat. He could burn it out. He could send a flare of power through his own nerves and roast it. But that flare would cost. It would tear his shard body, maybe worse. And it would send a big splash through the warp, calling more attention to this timeline. The node feels his conflict. Let it be, the voices urge. Only a little piece. You will see more. You will guide better. I will share sights. I will share routes. You will know where every threat is. You will never be surprised again. That is the temptation. Perfect control, perfect knowledge, at the cost of a foreign mind inside his own. He hears, faint and far, the screams of psychers on the throne. His power here is already eating them faster. If he lets the fungus into him, he risks dragging its mind back along the cord to his future. He could infest his own Imperium with this ancient rot. He cannot allow that. He clenches his jaw. No, he says. He reaches inward and unleashes flame. Not outward, not in the room, into himself. Golden fire roars down his nerves. It races along his spine into his brainstem, across his mind like a sweeping torch. It finds the thin white thread, wrapped now around small clusters of cells, trying to send a root into his deeper layers. It burns it, every inch. The pain is beyond words. His vision goes white, then black. He smells his own flesh. He hears the fungus scream through every mouth in the hub. He drops to one knee. Codex note: when the Emperor burns invasion from his mind, the heat scars both hostile and self, leaving lasting damage that dulls some senses but hardens others. From the outside, it looks like this. The Emperor's aura flares, bright and then dim. His armor cracks wider, glowing lines appearing along plates. The air around him shimmers. The mound shrieks. The sound hits the squad like a hammer. Ears ring. Some men drop their guns. Spores burst from the ceiling in clouds. Ruiz panics. He squeezes the trigger. A ribbon of flame shoots out, roaring over the platform. It washes across the lower half of the mound. Flesh and fungus blacken. Bodies twitch and sag. "Stop," Anderson shouts. Short bursts. It is too late. The flame hits a thick wall of fungus on the far side. It races up it, into the ceiling, across decades of dry growth. The heat, whole hub groans. Spores that were gently smoking now explode into thick clouds. The air fills with choking white. Masks are the only thing between the squad and death. Even then, filters clog. Vision drops. "Back," Anderson yells. "Fall back to the stairs. Ruiz, cut it." Ruiz lets go of the trigger. The Emperor staggers to his feet. His head is pounding. His thoughts feel slower. Some fine lines of future sight are gone, burned out. But the thread is dead. No fungus root in his mind now. The node is wounded too. Half its lower faces hang limp, burned black. Some fall off, thudding to the platform. Ropes of fungus sizzle. But it is not dead. It rises higher. From the ceiling, thick cords drop down, plugging into its back, feeding it. It pulls power through those into the network and back. "We wanted to talk," it rasps. "You break talks. You burn gift. Now we take." A thick cord whips out. It slams into the floor, between the Emperor and the squad. The tile cracks. White threads pour from the cord, spreading fast. Where they touch old bones, new shapes rise. Bodies swell, plates harden. In seconds, 3 new hulking infected blink into existence. They are thicker than bloaters. Their arms are long and armored. Their chests heave. Their heads are almost smooth balls of fungus, but with deep pits where eyes should be. From those pits, pale light shines. "New class," Harper whispers. "Oh God." They charge. The Emperor moves without thinking. He steps in front of the squad and brings his sword up. The first hulking infected slams into his blade. It cuts deep but not through. The thing's armor is thicker than normal. It screams, swings a heavy arm. The blow hits his shoulder. His pauldron cracks. The force drives him back a step. He feels the bruising all the way to his ribs. The second one comes from the side. He twists, grabs its arm with his free hand, and crushes the fungus plating until it breaks. A cloud of spores bursts in his face. They burn, but the air shimmers green for a moment. The mind is trying again, not with threads, with impressions, flashes. It wants him to see what happens if he refuses its path. It shows him Boston burning anyway. It shows Ellie dead on a table. It whispers that his lines do not save her. He snarls and pushes the visions away. Behind him, the squad opens fire. Bullets thud into the hulking infected. Some tear chunks off. Thick, pale ichor sprays. But the things keep coming. Their new armor deflects most shots. Ruiz swings the flamethrower. He hits one full in the chest. Fire washes over it. The plates crack and glow. It screams, a high, awful sound. It stumbles, then charges again, on fire, a moving torch. "Ruiz, get back," Anderson yells. The burning infected slams into Ruiz. They both go down. Flames spill across the floor. Harper lunges, trying to drag Ruiz away. The Emperor catches the flaming infected by the neck and snaps it with a wrench of his hand, then kicks the corpse aside. But the damage is done. Flames lick up old ads across fungus on the walls. The hub begins to burn in earnest. Heat rises fast. "Ceiling!" Donnelly shouts. They all look up. The fungus there is swelling. 3 huge pods bulge from the growth, like giant puffballs. They pulse, ready to burst. If they blow now, down here, everyone dies. The Emperor feels a knife of panic. He has 2 choices. He can pull the squad back to the stairs, away from the hub. Let the spores burst down here, then seal the tunnel and hope the pressure doesn't crack the city above. That might kill fewer civilians, but it lets the node live and grow stronger. Or he can burn them in place, burn hot, with a blast that pushes fire and force up into the pods before they burst, boiling the spores in them. That saves the squad and the city from an immediate spore storm. But the heat and shock might crack the tunnel roof. Streets above could collapse. Buildings might fall. People could die. "Please," Donnelly breathes. "God guide him," the fungus whispers. "Let it burst," it hisses. "You save people above. Your squad dies, but you keep walls. You keep order. You keep ration math clean." It shows him his own face, in another time, choosing to sacrifice one city to save a war front. Then it flips. "Or burn it all," it says. "Save yourself. Save your pawns. Let above fall. Let them scream. Their blood feeds us. We grow there too. Either choice, we gain." He sees the trap. No clean path. Only choices that either kill his own or feed the enemy. He thinks of Ellie. He has not met her yet, but he has seen her soul. She is tied to this city now. If the hub bursts, spores reach blocks she may pass through. If the streets fall, she may die in rubble. He cannot see exactly which. His fine sight is damaged from the burn. He has to decide anyway. "I will not give you easy meat," he growls. He chooses the second path. He pulls power, but this time he shapes it tight. He reaches down into the cracked floor, into the rails, into the metal frames of the hub. He coils force there like a spring. He does not send it out wide, but up in a narrow column. He drives his sword into the floor. "Down," he roars. The squad drops. A pillar of golden fire shoots up from the blade, through the floor, into the air above. It slams into the ceiling. The pods burst, but their spores flash to steam in the blast. Black smoke fills the hub. Fungus plates explode. The mound screams again as half its upper bulk tears away. The roof cracks. Concrete chunks rain down. A support beam snaps. The whole hub shakes like an earthquake. Above ground, in a rough, poor block, 2 streets from the federal building, the pavement heaves. An old tenement, already half rotten, collapses in on itself. Walls buckle. The top floor falls into the lower ones. People scream. Ellie, Joel and Tess are not there, but 30 others are. Some die in seconds, crushed. Others are trapped, choking on dust. In the subway hub, the Emperor feels the cost. He hears the city scream in the warp, a flare of human terror, panic, pain. The fungus feeds on that. It pulls some of that fear down into itself, savoring it. "See," the voices gurgle. "You kill above to save below. You say I am monster. You are same." The Emperor yanks his sword from the floor. Half the mound is gone. The cords from the ceiling hang in shreds. The hulking infected are dead or dying. But the core is still there. A cluster of heads near the center, joined so tightly they form a twisted crown, still moves. Their eyes glow faint. Threads pulse in and out of them. This is its brain here. He charges. The remaining hulking infected throws itself in front of him. He ducks under its arm, slams his shoulder into its gut, and lifts. His strength is far beyond human. He hurls the creature aside. He reaches the core and drives his sword through it. The fungus shrieks. Every root in the hub convulses. The walls ripple. Then slowly, the light in those central eyes fades. The node is dead, but the mind is not. Its presence pulls back like a tide. The pressure in his head lessens. The whispers thin. This is only one root, it hisses, fading. We have many. We see you now. We know your smell. We will grow a face that fits you better. The Emperor breathes hard. His chest hurts. His head throbs. His left hand shakes. He pulls his sword free. The blade is dimmer. Its edges are nicked. Ruiz groans. Harper crawls to his side, checks his burns. 2nd degree, she says. Some 3rd. We need to get him up now. Anderson coughs, waves away smoke. Everyone on your feet, he orders. We move out. Donnelly? The priest nods, still clutching his cross, knuckles white. I am here, he says. I felt it, like something pressed a thumb on my soul. The Emperor looks at him. You prayed, he says. Yes, Donnelly says. Something else happened too. In the moment when he drove power up, when the fungus tried to dig into him and he burned it out, there was a flicker in the warp. It felt like a hand on his shoulder. Not the fungus, not his own thought. A touch from the other piece of him, far away, on the throne. For a heartbeat, his shard and his full self aligned. Golden light poured down the link, not enough to fight for him, but enough to keep the tunnel from fully collapsing. Enough to keep his blade from shattering. Enough to keep the fungus from ripping more of his mind. It was also a warning. He felt his own future will there, heavy and vast, looking back at this moment. There was no anger, only a steady question. What are you doing with our strength? Sacred intervention in this world is not from outside. It is from the part of him that sits like a god to others. He hears its echo now. Enough great acts. You will break the line. He knows he must answer that someday, not now. Move, he says. They retreat up the stairs. Behind them, the hub sags and groans. Fungus still burns in patches. Water bursts from a broken pipe and hisses over hot stone. As they climb, the Emperor stumbles once. Donnelly, of all people, catches his arm. You are hurt, the priest says. I am slowed, the Emperor answers. I will mend. He does not add that some damage cannot be mended. Parts of his mind that once saw small future ripples are dark now. Names he knew in perfect order blur at the edges. He has traded sharpness for purity. Above ground, the air hits them like a slap. Shouts, cries, sirens. Anderson rips off his mask and runs toward the noise. They emerge near the collapsed block. Dust clouds rise. People rush with bare hands to pull bricks away. A woman screams a name over and over. Jesus, Harper whispers. We did this. Fungus did this, Ruiz rasps, still half carried. We killed the big one. Cause and effect, Donnelly says hoarsely. We opened what was sealed. We lit fire where old wounds lay. Our ally made a hard choice. But the broken bodies here do not care which mind is at fault. The Emperor watches men and women claw at rubble. He could help. He could lift whole chunks with his mind. He could clear the street in seconds. He steps forward. His power flares. Pain shoots through his skull. The burn he gave himself is raw. He pushes anyway. Bricks tremble. Then he stops. For a terrible moment, the whispers return, soft, persuasive. Let me help, they murmur. Let me move rocks through roots. Let me hold the ceiling while you pull them out. Take bits of me. Use me. Just a little. Just this once. He feels faint threads along the edge of the collapsed hole. The fungus is there, of course. Old tunnels, old walls. It offers to serve. He could push a will through it and use it as brace and lever. He almost does. His hand clenches. No. Using it as a tool, even now, would give it a new path into him. He cannot trust that it would not slide up that link the way it tried in the hub. He steps back. Instead, he walks over and grips a huge slab of concrete with his hands. His muscles strain. Armor groans. He lifts. Men and women stare, gasping, as the slab rises. Someone pulls a child from under it. The child coughs, alive. He lowers the slab aside, careful not to let it fall and shake the ground more. He does it again, and again. He uses only his body. No warp, no roots. He is strong enough even like this. It just takes longer. It hurts more. That is the price. Hours later, the worst of the rubble is cleared. Not all live. Some bodies come out limp. Others do not come out at all. Rumors spread fast. Vedra says the collapse came from old damage. People whisper about the golden man in the tunnels. Some blame him. Some call him a savior. Most just try to get through another day. In the Fedra building, the council meets again. Marlene is there this time without cuffs. She limps, bandaged darker now. Joel and Tess stand at the back, arms crossed. They arrived in time to see the smoke and chaos, then got dragged into this meeting because they are part of the Ellie plan. Ellie herself sits on a chair near the wall. She has a fresh bruise on her knee from when the building shook and she fell. Her eyes are wide but hard. She listens to grown-ups argue. The Emperor stands near the table. His armor is more cracked. His left eye has a thin red line around it, like a burst vessel. He looks more like a tired statue than a perfect god. Anderson's face is lined. "We killed something down there," he says. "A big something. The weird growth on our walls is already shrinking. Patrols report fewer infected moving as one. You did what you said you'd do." He looks at the Emperor. His tone is flat. "You also cracked my streets and killed 32 people," he says. "Most of them kids and old folks who couldn't run." Silence. Ellie shifts in her seat. She looks at the Emperor. Against her will, she feels something like pity. He looks like he knows their names, even if he never met them. "I made a choice," he says. "If I had let the pods burst, you would have had a spore cloud inside your walls. Your masks are old. Your filters are weak. Hundreds would be dying now, not 32. The fungus would be stronger." Harper nods reluctantly. "He is right," she says. "I ran the numbers. The sealed hub held twice as many spores as we thought. One burst would have filled 3 blocks. Anderson knows it. He still feels sick." Donnelly clears his throat. "This is the price of war," he says softly. "You all know that. So does he. The question is not whether he made a hard choice. It is whether he will face what that choice means." The Emperor meets his eyes. "I will," he says. Marlene leans forward. "What about what the mold said?" she asks. "It knows you now. It knows our layout. It knows we have an immune kid. It said it would grow a face that fits you better. What does that even mean?" He looks at Ellie. Her eyes lock with his. For a second, the room fades. He sees her soul again, bright, stubborn, not pure light. She has anger, fear, guilt, but she also has a strong line of no running through her, a refusal to lie down. He likes that. "The node learned my scent," he says, looking away back to the others. "It tasted my mind. Even though I burned it out, it kept impressions, patterns. It will try to build something that can reach me more cleanly, not a pile of bodies, a mirror." Mirror, Joel repeats quietly at the back. He does not like that word. What do you mean? Harper asks. In my age, the warp sometimes shapes things in the image of those who touch it, he says. Demons who look like generals, shadows of saints, not exact copies but twisted kin. This fungus, touching the same sea, may do something similar, a host that carries some of my traits. Anderson stares. You're saying it's going to grow its own golden man, he asks. Like you, but moldy. Perhaps smaller at first, the Emperor says. Perhaps it will find a human mind that already admires control, already wants to guide others, and grow roots through that soul until it becomes its champion. An antagonist made to argue with me, not just bite. Donnelly makes the sign of the cross. Ellie mutters under her breath. Great. Evil mold Emperor. Just what we needed. Joel's mouth twitches. He does not quite smile. Marlene taps the table. So it's personal now, she says. It's not just humans versus fungus. It's fungus mind versus golden man. That makes you a bigger target. And anyone near you too. Tess glances at Joel, then at Ellie. Awesome, she says dryly. Love that for us. The Emperor feels the whispers still. Quiet now, faint, but there. If he focuses, he can hear a low hiss at the edge of hearing, like wind in dead grass. It is not clear words, just pressure, the trace of the thread he burned. He knows it can grow if he lets it. He also knows something else. When he burned the thread, he hurt himself more than he showed. Parts of his empathy towards single lives dulled. It is easier now to think in big numbers, in walls and maps. That is the true wound, not in armor, in his moral balance. He could slip, step by step, toward the fungus's logic and tell himself he has not changed. He will not. He stands straighter. The war with this mind is not over, he says. We cut one of its hands. It will grow new fingers. But we have learned how it moves. We know it can tempt. We know it can plant threads. We know it can be hurt in its node. Harper nods. And we know it can hurt you, she says. Your nose is still bleeding. Your eye looks like hell. He smiles, a small tired thing. Even gods bleed, he says. Ellie snorts. You're not a god, she says. You're a huge shiny guy who falls through roofs and starts earthquakes. Every adult in the room tenses. You do not talk to this being like that. The Emperor looks at her. You are correct, he says. I am not a god. I am a man who bears too much power and too much will. And that is dangerous, she blinks. No one ever agreed with her that fast. Donnelly watches this. He sees in his own way a sign, not from heaven, but from whatever strange path this man walks. The man admits danger in himself. That is rare among those with power. He clears his throat again. I spoke with some of our people after the collapse, he says. I told them the truth in simple pieces, that something vast presses under us, that we have a new ally who is not perfect. They asked me, who judges him? He looks at the Emperor. You asked us to trust you, he says. We have for a time. You made choices that saved many and killed some. You will have to keep making them. But if you go on without answer to any higher rule, you risk becoming like the mind you fight. The TTS room is very quiet. Joel shifts. He knows what it looks like when men with no check on them make choices. He saw it on day one of the outbreak. He saw it every year since. The Emperor's gaze is steady. What higher rule would you have me answer to? He asks. Your God. For me, yes, Donnelly says calmly. But I know you do not see him as I do. Still, you must answer to something, to someone, even if it is yourself in fuller form, the part of you that sits on that throne you spoke of, the part that sees more than this shard can see. It is a strange way to put it, but it hits, because that is exactly who touched him in the tunnel. The other him, the full him, the one nailed to the throne in his own age, watching all timelines. He's always been judge and weapon both. Now, for the first time, one piece of him is asking to stand before the other. Harper frowns. "You're saying he should report in?" she says. "To his own boss, who is also him. That's weird." "Humans do it in small ways," Donnelly says. "We examine our own conscience. We ask, is this who I want to be? He's not only human, he has a larger conscience out there. He must check it, or he will drift." Anderson rubs his temples. "I don't like talking about golden thrones and warp seas," he mutters. "But I get the point. If you're going to keep doing things that crack my streets, I want to know you're not just making it up as you go. You have to talk to whoever gave you that power, or to the part of yourself that holds the master plan." Marlene adds, "And while you're having that spiritual performance review, the rest of us still have to move Ellie." Everyone turns to the girl. She slouches in the chair, but her jaw is set. "Don't talk like I'm not here," she says. Marlene softens, just a little. "You heard most of this," she said. "You're immune. We think you're the key to a cure. We want to take you west, to a lab. The Golden Guy wants to come too. Fedra wants to keep you here, or have a say. It's a mess. You get a vote." Ellie looks around, at Marlene, who has lied to her but also tried to keep her alive. At Anderson, who would lock her up for the greater good. At Joel and Tess, who look like they would rather be anywhere else than caught in this. At the Emperor, who fell from the sky and broke a subway station. "I want to help," she says slowly, "if I can. If my freaky blood can fix this. I don't want to just sit in a classroom while people die outside. But I don't want to die on a table either, or be turned into a jar in a lab." No one speaks. She lifts her chin. "So here's my rule," she says. "If I go with them," she jerks her head at Joel and Tess, "and with you," she points at the Emperor, "it's on my terms. You don't lie to me about what's going to happen. You don't decide I'm better off dead without asking me. You tell me if the cure means I croak. And then maybe I still say yes. But that's my choice." The Emperor's eyes warm just a fraction. "This is just," he says. "This is how it should be. I will swear to it." He places his hand over his heart. "Ellie," he said, "I will not let them cut you open without your consent. I will not let them hide the cost from you. If they try, they will find me between them and you." Marlene swallows. "You're asking a lot," she says softly. "You asked more," the Emperor replies. "You were ready to make that choice for her." Marlene looks away. Joel's voice is rough. "If I take her," he says, "I'm not flipping a coin on her life without her say. I've done enough of that kind of thing. No more." Tess nods. "So be it," Donnelly says. He looks at the Emperor. "You said you must answer to a higher self," he says. "Then go. Speak to it. Face what you have done and what you plan to do. Return with clear rules. Not just for us, for yourself." Anderson sighs. "This is the part where I should tell him he's not leaving my city," he mutters. "That I need him to stand on my walls while the mold regroups. But if he stays half broken and half sure, he's more danger than help." He looks at the golden giant. "Go," he says. "However you do that, talk to your throne. Make a plan that doesn't use my people as test pieces any more than they have to be. Then come back and help get this kid out." Marlene scowls. "If he goes, how do we know he'll come back?" she asks. "We don't," Tess says. "But we don't know anything. That's kind of the theme here." Harper adds, "And if he doesn't, we still have Ellie. We still have Data. We still have each other. We keep trying. like we always have. The Emperor feels the call now. It is stronger since the tunnel. The link to his future self is open. He can, if he chooses, follow it back. Not fully. This shard cannot just fly to the throne, but he can enter the warp more deeply with a body escort held safe in his field. He can cross to a place between ages where his full mind can meet his shard. A pilgrimage like no other. One more thing, Donnelly says. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small metal symbol. It is a plain cross, cheap, scratched. This is nothing to you, he says. Just a bit of worked metal. To some of us, it means hope, sacrifice, a man who suffered to save others. We argue about the details, but the idea matters. Take it. He holds it out. The Emperor hesitates. He is no friend of God's. He knows the warp is full of lying spirits. He has seen religion used to chain minds, but he also sees what this little object means here. Humans need shapes to hold their courage in, symbols. Even in his own age, they carry Aquilas and purity seals. He reaches out and takes the cross. It looks tiny in his huge, cracked hand. I will carry it, he says. Not as worship, as reminder. Reminder of what? Ellie asks. That power without cost is a lie, he says. That sacrifice without consent is cruelty. That I must not become the thing I fight. Sacred intervention did not save him in the tunnel. It does something now. It gives him a path. Command and Church, in their own ways, have given him a mandate. Go face your own supreme authority and come back with rules. Soon, he will step into a different kind of tunnel. One made of light, not concrete. With an escort of humans who have never seen a Starship Chapel or a Medici Bay in orbit. He will walk toward a throne that is both his prison and his power. And under Boston, in the wet dark, the fungus mind curls around the memory of his pain and begins to grow something new, something tall, something with a face that looks almost human, almost like his, but with eyes like pale, empty spores. Up to now, the Emperor burned a thinking node under Boston, cracked a city block, and took a small cross as a reminder not to become the thing he fights. The fungus mind pulled back and began to grow a new face. Fedra, Fireflies, Joel, Tess, Ellie, and Father Donnelly all watched him bleed and still demand that Ellie choose her own path. Now he must go to the one mind that can judge him, his own full self on the distant golden throne. The old church at the edge of the QZ is half ruined. The roof leaks. The pews are broken or gone. Mold eats the hymn books. A faded painting of Christ hangs crooked behind the altar. Tonight, candles burn there again. Father Donnelly lights them with steady hands. Joel and Tess stand near the back, close to the doors. Ellie sits on a pew, arms around her knees. Marlene leans on a crutch, face pale. Dr. Harper watches with a notebook in hand, out of habit. The Emperor stands where the altar once was. He has set the small metal cross Donnelly gave him on the cracked stone. His golden armor glows softly in the dark, paint-flaked walls reflecting dull light. This place is already a bridge, he says. People once came here to speak to what they thought was above them. That shape in their minds makes it easier to open the path I need. Donnelly looks up. You are not my God, he says. But if this helps, I will accept it. The Emperor inclines his head. You do not have to come, he tells the group. This road is dangerous. It passes through the warp, the sea of souls. You are not made for that. Your minds could be hurt. Ellie stands. I'm coming, she says. If you're going to talk about my life with your big self, I want ears in the room. Joel frowns. No, he says at once. You're not walking into some magic storm. She glares at him. My life, she repeats. My choice. Remember? That hits. He looks at Tess, hoping for backup. She sighs. We can't lock her up every time something scary happens, she says. If this is about her, she goes. One of us goes too, to watch. Joel grinds his teeth. Then I'm going, he says. Marlene starts to object, then stops. She's too tired to fight this battle now. Harper clears her throat. From a medical point of view, this is insane, she says. But if this warp place is where your power comes from, I need to see it. I need to know what hurts you and what might help you stay stable when you come back. Donnelly smiles faintly. And I go where souls are at risk, he says. I will not let my flock walk alone into whatever this is. The Emperor studies them. 4 mortals and 1 shard, he says. Very well. You will stay close. You will not try to pull power. You will not listen to voices that are not your own. He lays his hands on the altar. Golden light seeps from his palms. It runs like liquid over the stone, over the little cross, over the cracks in the floor. The air grows heavy. The candles sway, though there is no wind. The painting behind him ripples. The face in it blurs. The eyes become bright points. The body stretches, turns to a tall, shadowy shape with a crown of light. Then the wall behind the painting melts, showing not brick, but a tunnel of stars and fire. Ellie takes a step back. What the? She breathes. The warp, the Emperor says. The sea between real space and the deeper places. Souls leave ripples here. Thoughts make storms. My throne burns at its heart like a beacon. We will follow that light. The tunnel widens. At its far end they see a vague shape like a ship, all spires and towers, floating in nothing. Its hull is covered in statues. Lights flicker in tiny rows. My flagship, as it will be, the Emperor says. Or rather, a shadow of it made for this path. We travel there first. He turns to the group. Once you step through, there is no quick return unless I carry you, he warns. If you panic, you may draw things to you that you do not want. Joel snorts. Not the first time I've walked into something stupid, he mutters. Let's move. Ellie swallows, then grabs his sleeve. Together, she says. They step through. The air changes. It is thicker, hotter, but with no clear source. Colors have too many shades. Sounds echo even when no one speaks. For a second, everyone feels someone else's memories brush their own. Flashes of other days, other fears. Then they are standing on metal. They stand on a wide deck, under a high vaulted ceiling of dark steel. Around them, walls curve like the ribs of a huge beast. Stained glass windows show battles in space, saints in armor, burning worlds. A row of golden armored giants stands at the far end of the hall. They are even bigger than the Emperor's shard. Their armor is richer, covered in eagles and wings. Each holds a spear taller than a man. These are custodians, the Emperor says. My bodyguards in my age. Here, they are only echoes. They will not move without my will. Joel stares. Those are people? He asks. Genetically shaped warriors, the Emperor says. Made to guard only me. They are my weapon, my shield. Ellie eyes one. They look like they lost a who has to smile contest, she mutters. No one laughs. The Emperor points to a side door. Come, he says. We must pass the chapel and the Medici Bay to reach the inner gate. The chapel is long and narrow. Pews line both sides. The walls are covered in frescoes. Each one shows a different scene. Humans fighting Xenos. Men kneeling under golden light. A giant figure in armor leading armies. The Imperial Creed, Donnelly says quietly. Your church. Not mine, the Emperor says. The church that grew around my broken body. It worships me as a god. Harper walks slowly, eyes on the paintings. You hate that, she says. Yes, he answers. They pause before a large mural. It shows the Emperor himself, far larger than any other figure, standing on a hill of skulls. In one hand he holds a sword, in the other chains that lead to a crowd of kneeling humans. Their faces are turned up, adoring. Words are carved below in high Gothic script. Ellie can't read them, but she feels their weight. What does it say? She asks. Only in death does duty end, the Emperor says, and beneath that, all souls belong to the throne. Donnelly frowns. That is harsh, he says. It is what men made, the Emperor says. I laid down rules for unity, not worship. After I fell, others filled my silence with their own needs. They forged a faith that keeps my Imperium together through fear and awe. It saves many. It crushes many. He looks at Donnelly. You worry that I will act without judgment, he says. Here is proof that even when I cannot act, my image can be used without mercy. Donnelly looks at his own small cross in the Emperor's massive hand. Symbols can comfort, he says. They can also excuse. Men say, he wanted this, and do their worst. What would you carve under your god's image? The Emperor asks. Donnelly thinks. Love your neighbor as yourself, he says at last, and do not be afraid. The Emperor nods. Brave words in a safe world, he says. In mine, fear is common sense. But I see the point. My creed gives people a reason to stand. It rarely tells them when to stop. They move on. In a side alcove, they see candles burning in front of a golden aquila, a two-headed eagle. Little scraps of parchment are stuck around it, with shaky writing. Joel squints. What are those? He asks. Prayers, the Emperor says. Requests. Thanks. People leave them here, hoping I will hear. Do you? Ellie asks. He's quiet for a moment. I hear too much, he says softly. Billions of voices every day. I cannot answer most. I do not have the strength. I choose where to intervene and where to let humans stand or fall on their own. Every time I choose, I leave someone unwatched. Harper studies his face. That's your flaw, isn't it? She says. You believe you can see the whole board, so you allow yourself to ignore pieces for the greater pattern. It makes it easier to say, these few must die for those many. He does not deny it. It is a ruler's flaw, he says, and a tool's. I was made long ago to guide. I have spent ages convincing myself that my view is wide enough to justify the cost. Ellie steps in front of him. So what are you doing here? She asks. If you already think you know best, why are you bothering to ask your big self for rules? He looks down at her. Because I felt the fungus in my mind, he says. And it showed me a path where I become like it, where I use people as roots, not as souls. I burned that path out, but the temptation remains. I cannot trust myself alone anymore. Donnelly nods once. That is the start of humility, he says. Not hating yourself, just knowing your limits. They exit the chapel. The Medici Bay is bright and cold. Rows of beds line the walls. Machines hum, lights blink. Servitors, half human, half machine, roll on tracks, tending to patients with mechanical arms. Many beds hold armored soldiers, wounded in ways the Boston group cannot name. Deep burns, missing limbs, half-melted faces, but in the center, a special ward glows. There, thin, pale people lie in chairs. Their eyes are bandaged. Tubes run from their veins into a central column of glass. Inside the column, a faint light swirls. The black ships bring psychers here, the Emperor says. People with minds that can touch the warp. If left wild, They open doors for demons, so we take them young. We train them. We use some as astropaths to send messages. Most we feed to my throne. Harper's voice is a whisper. You kill them, she says, on purpose. I use them, he says. Their souls keep the Astronomicon lit. Without that beacon, ships are lost. My Imperium would fall apart. Trillions would die in chaos and famine. I kill thousands to save trillions. Ellie looks at the pale faces in the chairs. Do they get a choice? She asks. Some, he says. Not enough. Many never know what waits at journey's end. Joel's jaw clenches. So your cure game isn't new, he says. You've been cutting people open for the greater good for a long time. The words sting. The Emperor does not defend himself with grand lines. He knows the truth in Joel's tone. Yes, he says. I have made that choice many times. I know its weight. That is why I cannot let you make it for Ellie without her voice. He puts a hand on one of the glass columns. He feels the hum of souls inside. Even here, in this shadow ship, the pattern repeats. I will not end this system today, he says. If I do, my Imperium shatters. But I can set rules. I can demand consent where once there was only fear. I can make each death known, not secret. Harper writes fast. You're not a monster, she says, but you're not clean either. No one ruling a dying species is clean, he says. The question is not whether we have blood on our hands. It is whether we pretend not to see it. They move on. At the far end of the Medici Bay, a door of heavy gold waits. The Emperor lays his hand on it. This leads to the transit chamber, he says. From there, we cross the warp more deeply. That is where the fungus will try again. Joel checks his rifle by habit, though bullets mean nothing there. Then let's go, he says. I want to get back before Boston grows another surprise. The transit chamber is a round room with no clear walls. Every surface is covered in slow-moving light. Lines curve and twist, showing star charts one moment, nerve shapes the next. The floor feels solid, but looks like smoke. In the center, a glowing circle marks a gate. The Emperor steps into the circle. Stay inside the ring, he says. If you drift, you may be lost. If you feel something pulling at you, call my name. Not God, not anyone else's. Mine. Ellie steps beside him. Don't get a big head, she mutters. You're just the tall guy who fell through my sky. Joel takes her other side. Tess and Donnelly close in. Harper stands at the back, eyes wide. Light rises. It wraps around them like a slow whirlpool. The ship fades. The air hums. For a moment, Ellie feels her own memories rise around her like bubbles. Riley on a carousel, blades in the dark, days in Fedra school. Then another presence slips in, cold, wet, familiar. The light in front of them darkens. Out of the grey fog, something steps. It is the Emperor, almost. He is the same height. He wears armor that looks golden at first glance, but the plates are made of hardened fungus, not metal. White threads crawl across them like veins. His cloak is a mat of overlapping caps, pulsing gently. His face is almost the same but too smooth. His eyes are pale discs, like spore heads. His smile is wider. Welcome, the Mold Emperor says. His voice is the same tone as the node in the tunnel, but clearer now. Less echo, more focus. The real Emperor lifts his sword. You grow quickly, he says. We grow where we can, the Mold Emperor answers. You opened paths. You showed us warp. You showed us throne. We took pattern. We made a better you. Joel steps slightly in front of Ellie. Stay back, he tells it. Mold Emperor tilts its head. You protect Cell with much hope, it says. She's interesting, immune, bridge between meat and mold. She could be seed. We would treat her kindly. Ellie flips it off. I'd rather lick a clicker, she says. You would be one, it says. But with thought, with reach, you would never be alone again. No more losses, no more goodbyes. The real Emperor steps closer. You cannot give what you promise, he says. You speak of no more loss. You mean no more self. Mold Emperor smiles wider. Self is lonely, it says. Self makes war. Self makes you. How many worlds burn because you let self choose? Join. Bleed lines. Make one will. Make peace. It turns to face the Emperor fully. You will break, it says. Your throne will crack. Your Imperium will rot. I have seen it. I ride roots through time now. I taste your future corpse. Donnelly shivers. Joel's fingers twitch near his rifle that cannot help. The Emperor feels fear, not of death, of failure. The idea that even after all he has done, all he has sacrificed, his Imperium will still rot, is a knife in his core. The fungus is not lying, not fully. It has touched enough of his future to taste its decay. You offer me an easy way out, he says. Give in, join, turn all into one. No more hard choices, no more guilt, just control. No guilt because no others, it purrs. Only you, us. No one left to judge. That is the key. His flaw twisted to its limit. He looks at Joel, at Ellie, at Donnelly, at people who have judged him already and will again. He realizes he needs that. I will not walk a road with no witnesses, he says. He lifts his sword. Mold Emperor sighs. We hoped you would see sense, it says. Very well. We test strength. It raises its own hand. Spore light gathers there. A beam of sickly green shoots out straight at the Emperor. He meets it with his blade. Golden light clashes with green. The warp around them shakes. The impact hits everyone. Joel feels his bones buzz. Ellie's ears ring. Tess tastes metal. Donnelly feels his prayers twist on his tongue. The two Emperors push. In the beam, images flash. On one side, worlds of the Imperium, full of smoke, war, rigid faith. On the other, a world wrapped in white threads, quiet, still, without hunger. You save bodies, Mold Emperor says. You let souls break. You burn thousands to spare your own guilt. I burn self to save all. Who is better? The real Emperor grits his teeth. I will not erase what makes them human, he says. Even if that means they fight. Even if that means they die. I will not be a cage that smiles. The beam shudders. Mold Emperor suddenly shifts its aim. The green light swings sideways toward Ellie. She gasps as it touches her chest. Pain rips through her body, not like a bite, like every nerve on fire. For an instant, she sees 1,000 mycelium threads under her skin, waiting, confused by her immunity. Mold Emperor grabs that confusion. See, it hisses. You are special. You do not break right. Join me. I will tell you why you are different. I will make it mean something. The Emperor drops his guard. He steps in front of the green beam. It slams into him instead. His armor flares. Cracks widen. Flesh burns under the plates. The pain is worse than before. This is not just heat. This is anti-light, made to poison his warp-touch cells. He feels darkness slide along his nerves, looking for gaps. Codex note: anti-warp toxins do not cancel the Emperor's power. They twist it inward, forcing him to spend strength simply to keep his own light from going out. He staggers. The Mold Emperor laughs. Your weakness is care, it says. You could have let her take it. She would live. We would grow in her. You would gain tool. Instead, you take hit. You waste power. You cannot help yourself. The real Emperor falls to one knee. The circle of light around the group flickers, warp shapes stir in the dark, thin shadows, eyeless things drawn by the clash. Donnelly drops to his knees. He cannot fight beams or mold, but he can pray. "Lord," he whispers, "he is not you, but he is trying to do right. Do not let the darker piece win." He does not know who hears him, but something does. Far away, at the center of the warp, the Astronomicon flares. For one brief moment, the golden throne burns brighter. The light slices across the warp like a blade. Even Mold Emperor flinches. Another presence enters the chamber. It does not have a shape. It is pressure and calm and endless weight. It fills the space without sound. The weak shadows at the edges of the light vanish like smoke. In everyone's mind, a single idea rings. Reach the throne. Mold Emperor snarls. "He calls you," it says, "the one you will be. He does not want us to talk. He's afraid of what you might see." The Emperor lifts his head. He feels his own full mind like a mountain behind that light. Steady, distant, watching, not afraid, waiting. He is not afraid, the shard says. He is impatient. The flare from the Astronomicon pushes between the two emperors. The green beam shatters. The Mold Emperor slides back, dragged away by some current the others cannot see. White threads peel off his armor and burn. This is not over, it hisses, fading. We will meet again, on ground of our choosing. Then it is gone. The light steadies. The circle brightens. The Emperor breathes hard. Smoke curls from the cracks in his armor. His hands shake, but he is still on his feet. Ellie stumbles to him. "You okay?" she asks, voice thin. He nods once. "I am contained," he says. The toxin hurt, but the throne's light burned it out before it rooted. Harper checks Ellie's eyes, her pulse. "You," she demands. "I'm fine," Ellie snaps. "Fungus just tried to slide into my DMs. I blocked it." Harper frowns. "Some of that beam touched you," she says. "We'll have to check later what it did, if anything." The Emperor hears that. He knows a truth he will not say yet. The fungus now knows her body more closely. It may change how it hunts her. That will matter later. For now, the path ahead opens. The pressure from the throne feels like a hand on his back. He steps forward. The circle flares white. When the light fades, they stand somewhere else. They stand on a balcony under a black sky. Far below, light spread across a massive planet like a web of fire. Tall walls, like mountain ranges of metal, ring a continent-sized fortress. Towers pierce the sky. Guns bigger than skyscrapers point outward. "This is Terra," the Emperor says. Earth, in my age." Joel grips the railing. The scale is too big. He has seen cities fall. He has never seen a whole world turned into one. "Looks like someone took Boston's wall idea and never stopped," he mutters. Ahead of them, a vast bridge stretches toward a building so huge it swallows the horizon. The Imperial Palace. Its walls are cathedrals stacked on cathedrals. Statues taller than mountains stand in niches. Windows the size of old stadiums burn with light. At the far end, a single spire rises above all. From it, a beam of psychic light shoots into the sky. The Astronomicon. Golden armored custodians stand along the bridge in two perfect lines. They do not breathe, they do not blink. They are living statues. As the group steps forward, someone else appears between the lines. Women in plain bronze armor. Heads shaved, eyes calm and unreadable. Around them, the air feels empty. When Ellie gets close, she feels suddenly alone in her own skull. The faint, warm pressure of the warp, of other minds, of the Emperor's presence, all dim. It is like stepping from a crowded room into a vacuum. Joel staggers. What is that feeling? He gasps. Sisters of silence, the Emperor says. Blanks, nulls. Their souls do not touch the warp. They snuff psychic noise. They make beings like me. Quiet. He sounds strained. His own aura flickers near them. The burn from the mold toxin aches more. His thoughts feel heavier, slower. Codex note. Nulls do not weaken the Emperor's will, but they strip away his easy access to warp power, forcing him to act more like a mortal general than a god. The lead sister steps in front of him. She does not speak aloud. Still, they all feel her thought. Do you come as ruler or as penitent? The Emperor bows his head. As penitent, Shard, he says, to stand before my full self. She studies him. Then she steps aside. The custards bang the butts of their spears once on the bridge. It is not a cheer. It is acknowledgement. They walk. Every step brings them closer to the great spire. As they move, Ellie sees more. Courtyards full of men in grey robes, chanting. Lines of pilgrims, thin and sick, climbing endless stairs to touch a wall and feel blessed. Giant cannons aimed at the sky. Harper is shaking. This is ugly and beautiful at the same time, she says. Health means something else here. Survival above all. And doctrine, Donnelly says. Everything is wrapped in worship. Joel glances at the Emperor. You wanted this? He asks. All this? I wanted unity, the Emperor says. The alternative was extinction. I did not choose every statue, every chain. Some were added by men too afraid to stand without crutches. Some by men hungry for power. Some by me when I saw no softer choice. Tess says nothing. She knows what it means to build hard systems in hard times. Smuggling, ration cards, deals. None of it clean. At last, they reach a tall gate of gold and bone. It opens without a sound. Beyond it is the throne room. It is vast, more like a canyon than a room. Pillars stretch up into darkness. At the far end, on a mountain of cables and machines, sits the golden throne, the full Emperor. He is not a clean figure. His body is a withered corpse in armor, held in place by metal braces. Wires run into his flesh. Tubes carry fluids in and out. A halo of machinery rings his head, humming. Around the throne, engines scream. Souls burn. The air is thick with incense and psychic force. The Shard Emperor feels all of it at once. The humans fall to their knees without thinking. Not in worship, in simple self-defense. The pressure is too much. Their minds want to curl up. Only Ellie fights it. She grits her teeth, forces herself to look up. She sees the corpse on the throne. For a second, she is not impressed. That's it, she mutters. Dude looks worse than a bloater. The throne does not answer aloud. It does not move. The answer comes in their minds. Not words, not exactly. More like a wave of understanding that shapes itself into simple sentences for them. You have come far, the Supreme Authority says. You carry mold's touch and human hope. You crack streets to burn roots. You swear oaths to one child and to uncounted trillions. You ask, am I still mine? The Shard Emperor steps forward. He feels like a man standing before a star that is also a mirror. I faced a piece of the fungus, he says, not with his mouth but with thought. It showed me paths where I join it, where I turn my Imperium into one mind, where no war remains because no one can disagree. You were tempted. Yes, he admits, not only because it promised an end to war, because it offered perfect control. No more guesswork, no more doubt. I could see all, steer all. Joel hears that and thinks of Fedra officers. Marlene, who waited outside in the church, would think of her own leaders, people who made perfect plans on other people's bodies. The full Emperor's thought presses down. You know where that road ends. Yes, the Shard says, in a prison that calls itself peace, in an empire no less cruel than the thing I fight. You have made cruel choices already. You feed me psychers. You burn worlds. You make tools of saints. Yes, he says again, I have sinned against my own ideals. I have treated some as numbers. I have lied when truth would crack morale. I have told myself that the ends justify the means because I see farther than they do. The throne's light pulses, and does it? He sees flashes. Worlds he saved. Worlds he lost. Lives he broke. Children like Ellie, eyes angry and bright, on 1,000 different streets. He feels the answer settle heavy in his chest. Sometimes, he says, sometimes I choose well, and the many do live. Sometimes I am wrong, and the many still die, and the few I used are wasted. I cannot trust outcome alone to justify what I do. Then what is victory? The question rolls over all of them. Joel sees Sarah's face. Ellie sees Riley's. Donnelly sees his drowned parish. Harper sees patients in rooms she could not clean. The Shard Emperor searches for words. Victory is not just we are not extinct, he says slowly. It is we are not extinct, and we have not become something we would hate if we saw it in another. You will still fail. Yes, he says, I will still make mistakes, but I can set lines. I can say, here, I will not step, even if it kills more. And I can say, if I must step there, I will do it with eyes open, names known, consent given where possible. No more clean lies. The throne's presence shifts. It feels for a heartbeat, like the same touch he felt in the tunnel. The question he heard then returns, sharper. What are you doing with our strength? Using it without enough answer, he says. So I have come to ask for a rule, for a mandate, so that I am not only judge of myself. You are Shard, I am whole, yet even I am bound. Bound to this chair, bound to this light, bound by choices I can no longer unmake. The light surges. In simple lines, they all see what that means. He cannot leave the throne. If he spends too much power on one timeline, other paths darken. If he saves one world, others burn. There is no perfect game. Still, he can set a rule for his Shard. You will return to that world with limits, the throne says. You will not use the fungus network as tool. You will not break cities for single victories. You will tie your great axe to consent, not only to your own fear of loss. You will listen to small voices, one girl, one priest, one soldier, before you burn thousands. You will keep your hand off their minds, except to shield. Each time you break these rules, power will bleed from this light, and you will know that you are eating your own future to comfort your present fear. The Shard Emperor bows his head. He feels the rules lock into him like oaths. They hurt. They also feel right. Ellie looks up at the throne. She is just a kid from a ruined school. She has no rank. Still, the light brushes her. You carry cure and choice, it tells her. Her throat tightens. Can I ask something? She thinks, unsure if it will hear. The light bends low, gentle. Ask. Am I going to die for this? She asks. For the cure? The room holds its breath. The throne does not answer with a vision of her on a table. It does not show her old age. It shows her standing at many forks. Some end with her death in a lab. Some with her death on a road. A few with her living long enough to see green growing and children playing without masks. Most paths hurt. That is honest. I cannot promise safety, it says. I can promise that the choice will be yours. if my shard keeps his oath. She nods. Tears prick her eyes, but she smiles anyway. Good, she thinks. That's all I wanted. Donnelly feels the light on him too. You fear that I will replace your God, it tells him. Yes, he admits, but I see now you are just big, not holy. You bleed and break and doubt, like us, with more height. That is enough, the throne says. Do not worship me, judge me, and judge my shard. He nods. I can do that, he says. Harper feels numbers in the light. It shows her graphs, curves, plagues. It shows her that one cure in one world echoes forward, changing which worlds exist to be saved later. You think small, it says. That is not insult. Small thinking sees detail. Then I'll be your detail, she thinks. I'll tell him what each choice costs in bodies, not just in lines on maps. Good, the throne replies. Joel does not feel words. He feels an understanding. You lost a child, the light says without saying. Now you hold another at arm's length so the world cannot hurt you again. He grips the railing. He hates how true that is. The world is going to hurt her anyway, he thinks back. I just don't want it to be, because I didn't fight. You will face your own choice, the light tells him. One day soon. It lets that warning sit. The Shard Emperor steps back. He feels heavy, but his core is clearer. He has his mandate. The throne's presence begins to recede. Before it does, it leaves one more impression in all their minds. 3 branching paths of light, leading back to Boston and beyond. The details are not yet clear. They will be shown later. For now, the command is simple. Return. The Shard Emperor now carries a strict limit. Each city-shaking act he performs will dim the Astronomicon for a measurable span, risking ships and worlds in his far future. He cannot burn wide without feeling that drain like knives. He also cannot touch minds to command them, only to shield or speak. Any deeper push will let the fungus find him faster. He may still kill by the thousands in battle, but only when he has listened to those who will pay the price. And each time he breaks these rules, memories of his own failures will sharpen until they slice his certainty apart. The light fades, the throne room blurs, the bridge, the custodians, the sisters, terror itself, all pull away like tide water. The old church in Boston waits on the other side of the warp, candles guttering, rain tapping on broken glass. The Emperor and his small mortal escort begin the hard walk back. Soon, they will bring that new mandate into a world of crumbling walls and hungry mold. And the fungus, far below, already twists its new mirror face to greet the changed man who is coming. Up to now, the Emperor fell into a ruined Boston, saved a wall, cracked a block, fought a fungus mind in the dark, burned its thread from his own skull, and walked through the warp to stand before his future corpse on the golden throne. There he accepted rules on his power, swore to honor Ellie's choice, and turned back toward a world of walls and mold. They stumble back into the church. One blink they are under the throne's crushing light. The next, they are in the broken nave again. Cold, damp air hits their faces. Candles gutter. Rain taps on the shattered roof. Ellie almost falls. Joel catches her arm. "You okay?" he asks. "Yeah," she says, breathing hard. "Just did more religion in one day than in my whole life." The Emperor stands at the altar. His armor is worse. Cracks run across his chest and shoulders like black rivers. Faint golden light leaks out, pulsing slow. The little cross is still on the stone in front of him. He looks quieter, not less, just less loud. Marlene limps in from the doorway, eyes wide. She sees the warp rift seal behind them. The painting settled back into its old, cracked image of Christ. You were gone for seconds, she says. Like 2 seconds, and the whole building shook. For us, it was longer, Harper says. Her voice is tired and thin. We saw his future. Donnelly sinks onto a pew, clutching his chest. We saw our own too, he murmurs. The Emperor turns. The throne showed me 3 paths, he says. 3 ways this can go. I must choose one. You all deserve to know them. He raises his hand. Light spills out, soft and flat, spreading across the air like a simple picture. It is not warp storm now. It is near plane. Path 1, he says. Return. The image sharpens. They see the Emperor rising off the altar, his shard burning bright. They see him step back into the warp and not look back. Boston fades behind him. Years roll. On Terra, in his age, the Astronomicon burns steadier. Ships do not vanish in storms that would have taken them. He sits on his throne and remembers a fungus world only as data, a set of numbers, a lesson about hive minds. On old Earth, in Ellie's time, the golden light is gone. Boston falls a few years later. A raider group breaks the wall while the fungus pushes harder. Ellie still travels west with Joel and Tess, but without him. She reaches the fireflies. The choice about her life still comes. It goes badly in some lines, better in a few. The cure is a coin flip. Safe for my Imperium, the Emperor says softly. Safer at least. Less power spent on this age. Fewer ships lost. But this world becomes just another file. You become ghosts in my memory. Ellie's jaw tightens. So you bail on us, she says. Back to your big chair. Path 2, he says, and the first image fades. New light. Free agent. Now they see him stay. He strides through Boston like a living siege engine. Fedra falls. The fireflies fall. Raiders burn. Walls rise taller. Cities are dragged into his orbit. He burns nests, sterilizes whole valleys, kills. Fungus by the mile. He also kills anyone who will not bend. His symbol goes up where Fedra posters once hung. People live longer, with full bellies and strict rules. He pushes his tech centuries ahead. Guns become las weapon shapes. Armor grows. In orbit, early warships take shape. Under the surface, the fungus mind adapts. It digs deeper, waits longer, finds ways into blind spots. It never fully dies. It simply learns to fear him and work around him. In the warp, the Astronomicon flickers wildly. Too much power is going sideways in time. Storms rage. Whole sectors in his future are cut off. Millions die in ships that never arrive. Some paths show his Imperium collapsing into smaller, meaner states. You live under my law, he says. You eat. You do not roam free. Your children grow up in a fortress, not a ruin. But your age becomes an early branch of my Imperium. Your history changes mine. The timeline fractures. Joel looks at the image of soldiers in gold armor dragging people in line. Looks like Fedra with fancier hats, he says. Tess nods once. And bigger guns, she adds. Ellie snorts. Hard pass, she says. The Emperor lets the second image fade. Path 3, he says. Sanctioned servant. Light rises again. This time they see a narrower picture. He stays. But he does not sit on a throne made of Boston. He does not raise a banner over every wall. He moves like a roaming fortress, sometimes by Ellie's side, sometimes at the walls, sometimes in tunnels, fighting roots. He carries the rules from the throne like chains and like guides. He does not touch minds to command. He does not burn a city without counsel from those who live there. He does not turn Ellie into a lab rat. When he must do something vast, burn a nest under a town, crack a dam to drown a fungal field, he asks for consent from those who will pay. Each time he does, The Astronomicon in his future dims a little. They see ships shaking, lights flickering, psychers screaming. His far Imperium pays for every miracle here, but it does not die. It is hurt, not broken. Worlds are lost, but fewer. He balances. But we, Marlene asks hoarsely. They see the line again. Ellie and Joel crossing dead cities. Tess for a time, then gone. Raiders, storms, cold. Fireflies who argue with each other when the cure question comes. The Emperor is there, but not as wall-breaking God at every step. Sometimes he is a blazing shield. Sometimes he is just a silent shadow at their back, his power bound by his own oath. He refuses to simply erase their choices. In one branch, the cure is made with her consent. In another, it fails and something else grows from the attempt. In a third, she says no, and they turn to other paths. Her blood used in small, careful ways that help some but not all. In almost every branch, more people live longer than without him. In every branch, some die who could have been saved if he had become a tyrant. In this path, he says, I stay, I serve, I do not rule. I act under law, not above it. I accept that my Imperium bleeds for a world that will never worship my name. I accept that I cannot save everyone, even with all my might, because I will not become the fungus to beat the fungus. Silence. Rain taps. Donnelly is the first to speak. This third path asks more of you, he says. Not less. It asks you to live with limits, to hear no, to walk away when ruling would be easier than serving. Harper looks at the first two paths again in her mind. From a numbers view, she says, Path 1 saves more in your age, less in ours. Path 2 tries to save everything and breaks both ages. Path 3 balances. There is loss all around, but it is the only one where people here are more than a lesson or a subject. Anderson, who came in during the vision, stands at the side, face pale. You're telling me one of your choices kills my city sooner, he says. One turns it into your boot camp, and one keeps it ours. Still rough, still hungry, but ours. With your help. Yes, the Emperor says. Marlene leans on her crutch. You choose. We live with it, she says. That's the deal. No, Ellie says before he can answer. Everyone looks at her. It's his choice, yeah, she says. But we get to say what we want too. That's been the whole point. She folds her arms. I don't want you to bail, she tells the Emperor. You fell into my mess. You don't get to just go, well, that was interesting, and fly home. I also don't want you to turn this into your Space Empire boot camp. I've had enough uniforms, so if you're asking me, Path 3, you stay, you help, you don't own us. Joel grunts. Seconded, he says. If you leave, we go back to Fedra and Raiders and hoping one immune kid lives long enough to grow old. If you crown yourself, we trade one cage for another. I've seen enough cages. Tess gives a tired nod. Third path, she says. You're too useful to waste, too dangerous to let loose. Marlene hesitates. My people have died for the chance of a cure, she says. I was ready to risk Ellie's life without asking her. I won't lie. There is a part of me that wants you to pick the second path and just win. No votes, no delays. Just burn the fungus out and lock the doors. She looks at Ellie, then at the image of the Golden Empire. Then she exhales. But if you do that, she says, there's nothing left of what we were fighting for. So, Path 3. Anderson crosses his arms. Fedra doesn't vote on warp nonsense, he says. But I do not want to be erased by history. Path 2 makes us a footnote. Path 1 makes us a screw-up you learn from. Path 3 keeps us in the book. He meets the Emperor's eyes. If you stay within rules, I can work with that. Maybe. Donnelly smiles faintly. Consensus, he says. Not common these days. The Emperor listens. He knew what he wanted the moment the throne showed him the 3 roads. Hearing them say it only carves it deeper. I choose the 3rd path, he says. The church seems to hold its breath. I remain, he goes on, as a sanctioned servant, not a free tyrant. I bind myself to this age until the fungus war here reaches a clear turn. I accept that my imperium will dim in places because of this. I accept that you may hate me for some choices, but I will not rule you by fear or lies. Something changes. Light spills from the cracks in his armor, brighter but controlled. The golden eagle on his chestplate shifts. Its wings stretch and split. Between them, a new shape forms. A small, 4-winged firefly, like the graffiti on Boston walls. Its body is the center of the aquila, glowing bright. The eagle's wings curve around it, not crushing, but guarding. On his left pauldron, the old aquila remains. On his right, the firefly sigil alone, painted in simple lines of light. Ellie stares. That's our sign, she says. Fireflies. A reminder, he says. My symbol bound to yours, not swallowing it, not erased by it, joined. Outside in the city, something odd happens. In 3 different places, on a crumbling Fedra poster, on a blank concrete wall, on the side of a burned truck, golden light flickers. For a moment, those surfaces carry the same combined mark, eagle and firefly. Children see it and point. Adults frown and cross themselves, or spit, or stare quiet. Inside the church, the cross in his hand warms. No voice booms, no heaven opens. But Donnelly feels a small, solid peace in his chest. Then we need rules, he says. Spoken, clear, not just in your head, so we can hold you to them. Boundaries clause, Harper says. Operating rules. The Emperor nods. Agreed, he says. They move to the old table near the front under broken stained glass. Rain slows. Candles flicker low. The Emperor speaks. Rule 1, he says. No use of the fungus as tool. I do not ride its roots. I do not send commands through its network. I only burn or block. If I break this, I risk letting it into me and into my imperium. Harper writes it down on a scrap of paper. Rule 2, he says. No city breaking acts without consent. If I must crack streets, flood blocks, or burn tunnels that will kill civilians, I will first call a council of those who live there. I will explain the cost in plain words. I will not hide behind they would not understand. If they refuse, I must find another way, or accept that some battles cannot be fought. Anderson grimaces. That's messy, he says. People panic. Then you teach them, the Emperor answers. Fear is no excuse for secrecy. Rule 3, he says. Ellie's choice is binding. No one cuts her open, bleeds her dry, or uses her blood for large experiments without her informed consent. Not Marlene, not Anderson, not me. If a cure demands her life, she must say yes herself. If she says no, we seek other paths. Marlene's eyes close for a second. Then she nods. I agree, she says. Out loud, on record. Rule 4, he says. Surrender is real. If humans lay down arms and step away from fungus willingly, I do not burn them out of rage or example. I may jail, I may exile, but I do not murder those who yield. Joel thinks of men he has shot in anger. That one hits. Rule 5, the Emperor says. I do not wipe out whole groups because some among them are tools of the fungus. If a town is tainted, I cut out the rot if I can, instead of calling the whole body lost by default. Harper adds, case by case, not kill them all. Yes, he says. He looks at Donnelly. Rule 6, he says. I allow judgment. Priests, doctors, soldiers, smugglers, children. If you see me drift, you call me on it. I listen. I may still choose against your wish, but I will not pretend I am always right. I will say why I do what I do. Donnelly nods slowly. That is all I ask, he says, that you stand in the same light you throw on others. And Rule 7, the Emperor finishes. When this war on your Earth reaches a point where the fungus is no longer an existential threat to human survival here, when it is contained, not only survived, I will leave. I will not stay to build my Imperium early. I will trust you to build your own future. Ellie raises a hand. And Mercy, she asks. You said something about mercy conditions. He looks at her. Mercy is not a rule, he says. It is a habit, but I can make it one. He adds, when in doubt, I will lean towards sparing the helpless. If there is a way to move them before I burn, I must take it, even if it slows me. If there is a choice between saving a wall and saving a group of children, I will save the children. Anderson winces. Even if the wall falling kills more later, he asks. Yes, the Emperor says, because if I start killing children for walls, I will become the thing in the tunnels. No one argues, not out loud. Marlene lets out a breath she did not know she was holding. All right, she says, that's your law. Now what? Now, he says, I heal what I can. Then we move. He steps back to the altar. He kneels. This time, when he reaches for power, the warp does not roar. It hums, low and steady. The throne's light brushes his back. Not a shove, just a presence. Boston, he says quietly. Old terror, broken and stubborn. Hear me. He sends his mind down, not into fungus roots, into stone, into rusted rebar, into the tiny gaps where water runs. He traces the wounds left by his earlier blast. Cracked pipes, broken support beams, half-collapsed basements. He asks the city for permission. It is a strange act. He has never done it before. But in this age, the line between minds and places is thin. So many have died here, their fear soaked into walls. He feels that fear stir, like dust in light. I hurt you to stop a worse hurt, he says. Allow me to mend a little, at cost to myself. The fear does not speak. It does not forgive. But it loosens, just enough. He sends a thin flow of power along steel. Cracks knit, not perfectly, but enough that walls stop sagging. Pipes seal. A few tilted buildings settle straight. In the collapsed block, a half-buried cellar door pops free, giving trapped people a way out. In the warp, the Astronomican flickers, ships shudder. A navigator somewhere on the edge of the Imperium curses and makes emergency corrections. The throne does not shout. It simply reminds him of the cost. He accepts it. When he rises, sweat beads his brow. His hands shake more, but his eyes are clear. Purge and healing, Harper says softly. You burned the node. Now you've patched the worst of the wound you made. Ellie looks toward the city. So, what now? She asks. Now we leave, Joel says. He's been quiet, watching the visions and rules sink in. He looks at Marlene. We take her to the State House, he says. From there, west, to your lab, if it still stands. On the way, we see what this golden idiot can do without breaking half the map. Tess smirks. Our idiocy is a team effort, she says. Marlene nods. My people will be at the State House, she says. We regroup there. This time, we plan with him. She jerks her chin at the Emperor. And with her, she adds, looking at Ellie. Ellie shoulders her backpack. Her hands still shake from the warp, but her eyes are bright. Then let's go, she says, before the mold grows another face. Time moves. They leave Boston by night. Joel, Tess and Ellie slip through tunnels and back alleys, with the Emperor walking a little ahead, dimmed down to a shadow in the dark. He clears the worst nests quietly, with narrow cuts of light that only the infected see. At the outer fence, Fedra guards watch them go. Some cross themselves, some curse. Some salutes are half raised, then dropped, unsure. On the wall, Anderson stands alone for a moment. He looks at the city, at the ruined block, at the faint symbol of eagle and firefly someone has painted on a concrete slab. "Don't make me regret this," he mutters into the night. He turns back to his radios, his rations, his walls. Donnelly walks through the streets, telling people simple truths. "A great power walks, not as a king but as a servant," he says. "Our choices still matter. Our neighbor still matters. Do not wait for miracles. Do not worship him. Hold him to his oath." Some listen. Most go back to their lines and their hunger. The fungus listens too. Deep under the soil, in wet culverts and old basements, mycelium threads pulse. The mold emperor, grown in some hidden nest far from Boston, opens pale eyes. They remember the beam that was blocked, the pain of the throne's light, the taste of Ellie's odd blood. "We adapt," it whispers through roots. It grows a new body in a distant city, taller, stronger, less like a pile of corpses, more like a single towering shape with a face nearly human. Its jaw is fixed in a smile. It carries a mock sword made of hardened plates. It will seek places where the golden man cannot act without breaking his own rules. It will force choices that hurt him either way. Far in the future, in the great hall of a distant inquisitor, a hooded figure reads a sudden spike in old records. "Unusual," the inquisitor murmurs, fingers tapping on a data slate. A temporal ripple from pre-imperial terror. Signature matches. Him. And something else. They mark the file with a warning sigil. "Watch," they tell their staff. "If this branch ever touches ours, we will need to know." Years later, or just months, depending on whose road you walk, a child in a different quarantine zone stands in front of a wall. On that wall, someone has painted a symbol, a golden eagle, wings sweeping wide. In its heart, a small, simple firefly. The child's mother tugs his arm. "Come on," she says. "Curfew." "Who is that?" he asks, pointing. She hesitates. "No one," she starts. Then she stops herself. "A story," she says instead, "about a man who fell from the sky and tried very hard not to become a monster while he fought monsters. About a girl who said no when everyone expected her to say yes. About rules stronger than guns." "Did he win?" the boy asks. She looks at the walls, at the guards, at the quiet, watchful fungus creeping on distant ruins. "Not yet," she says, "but we're still here. That counts for something." The boy nods. He does not understand yet, but that symbol sticks in his mind. Somewhere on an old, broken world, a golden giant walks a ruined highway beside a tired man and a stubborn girl. He follows rules he wrote in pain. He breaks them sometimes and pays. He saves who he can. He never forgets that he chose to stay. By decree of the master of mankind, the Boston Shard is recorded as a sanctioned deviation, permitted to act within strict bounds of mercy and consent on old Terra's lost age, so that humanity might be saved there without unmaking the Imperium to come.